For millions of years, giant dinosaurs ruled a warm, crowded world. Herds of hadrosaurs move across wide Cretaceous floodplains, stripping leaves and needles with rows of grinding teeth, while pterosaurs glide above slow, branching rivers. Some animals are peaceful plant eaters, but others are powerful hunters that fill this ancient environment with constant risk. A Tyrannosaurus watches from the tree line, strong jaws half open, as smaller predators weave through the undergrowth in search of weakness. The scene looks stable, almost timeless. Thick forests rise over fern-covered ground, insects hum in the humid air, and distant sauropods shake the earth with every step. Many millions of years ago, this landscape stretches from coast to coast across what is now North America, linked to other continents by warm seas and rich coastal plains. It feels like one of the most successful moments in dinosaur history. Then, far above the blue sky, something falls. A rock the size of a city tears through the atmosphere at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, turning air to plasma in front of it. In what will become the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, it slams into shallow ocean with the force of billions of Hiroshima bombs. In less than a second, rock and water vaporize. A crater more than 150 kilometers wide opens, and a blinding flash becomes visible across half the planet. Shockwaves race through the crust, stronger than any recorded earthquake, while mega tsunamis rise higher than coastal forests. Scientists have evidence showing that superheated debris is thrown beyond the edge of space and then falls back, turning the sky into a global broiler. Fine dust, sulfur, and tiny glass droplets begin to spread around the world. Firestorms bloom on distant horizons, forests ignite, and even giant dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus are crushed or burned before they can react. For many animals, the end comes in seconds or minutes. But not for all of them. Far from ground zero under a darkening sky, a small sharp-eyed theropod keeps breathing. This agile predator, no larger than a modern wolf, darts through the forest as trees shudder and distant thunder rolls from the impact. Its strong legs, keen hearing, and forward-facing eyes have played an important role in hunting at night and stalking smaller prey. For the next 72 hours, those same abilities will turn it into a candidate for the last non-avian dinosaur on Earth. Scientists have fossils and computer models that reveal what happened in these first days. Heat pulses sweep across continents, choking smoke fills the air, and a strange ash-filtered twilight falls at midday. In this episode, the story of that lone theropod will be followed almost minute by minute, from the first falling trees to the moment the sky turns nearly black, from towering Tyrannosaurus crushed in an instant to nimble bird-like hunters dodging burning branches. Different dinosaurs will be seen fighting, fleeing, and failing in the most lethal hours the planet has ever known. What did survival look like when the ground itself seemed to move, when the air burned, and when daylight began to die? And how did one small predator manage to stay alive for 3 days in a world that was ending all around it? The extinction of the dinosaurs is often imagined as a single blinding flash, a moment where every giant reptile simply vanished. In reality, the end of their world was not one instant, but a chain of deadly events unfolding over hours, days, and then many years. The asteroid was the trigger. The real killers arrived in phases. The starting point of this story lies hidden beneath the Yucatan Peninsula. Buried under rock and sediment is the Chicxulub crater, a scar about 150 to 180 kilometers wide. It marks the impact site of a space rock that struck with the force of more than 1 billion Hiroshima bombs. Around the planet, layers of clay rich in iridium, a rare metal in Earth's crust, but common in asteroids, line up exactly with this crater's age. Mixed into those layers are shocked quartz grains and tiny glassy droplets of melted rock. Together, they provide evidence showing that a single impact 66 million years ago played an important role in ending the age of the non-avian dinosaurs. scientists have reconstructed the first hours after impact in remarkable detail. Near Ground Zero, the first killers were seismic shockwaves and tsunamis. Earthquakes far stronger than anything recorded in human history shattered coastlines. Walls of water raced across shallow seas, smashing coastal forests and drowning anything too slow to escape. Even powerful predators with strong legs and heavy bones would have been thrown down, crushed, or swept away. Then the danger spread worldwide. Rock and dust blasted into space, fell back through the atmosphere, heating the air as it re-entered. For a brief time, the sky itself turned into a broiler. A global heat pulse swept the surface, igniting forests on continents separated by whole oceans. Charcoal layers in fossils and sediments are one of the most striking signs of these firestorms. Many dinosaurs far from the crater likely died not from the impact itself, but from flames and radiant heat in the first day. After the fires came a different kind of threat. Fine dust, soot, and sulfur from vaporized rock climbed high into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight. Daylight faded toward a dim twilight that could last weeks or months. Temperatures dropped. Photosynthesis slowed or stopped. Acid rain fell into rivers, lakes, and shallow seas, stressing plants and the animals that depended on them. Food chains that had been stable for millions of years began to collapse, finishing off most large animals that survived the initial blast and heat. In this harsh sequence, the story of a last dinosaur becomes a scientific thought experiment rather than a single fossil. No bones record the final individual, but scientists have evidence showing that small, agile theropods with sharp teeth, keen senses, and bird-like brains were among the best equipped for short-term survival. By combining fossil anatomy, physics, and the behavior of modern animals, it is possible to imagine what a dangerous, dog-sized predator could face in those first 72 hours. This episode will follow that animal through each phase as a case study. The impact becomes a test of balance and speed against shaking ground and falling debris. The firestorm becomes a trial of heat tolerance and shelter finding. The spreading darkness turns sharp eyes and sensitive hearing into temporary advantages as this hunter stalks through ash-filled forests. Finally, as food disappears, its strong legs, teeth, and instincts must answer a final question. Can even the most dangerous non-avian dinosaurs overcome a planet that has turned against them? Or is survival for 3 days the best any of them could achieve? In this collapsing world, one predator stands out not for its size, but for its strange combination of speed, senses, and brain power. While giant carnivores fall quickly to heat and fire, a smaller hunter moves through the darkening forests, light on its feet and hard to see among the trees. This is Troodon, one of the most intriguing small theropod dinosaurs of the late Cretaceous. Troodon lived many millions of years ago in what is now Western North America, in an environment of river plains, mixed forests, and scattered clearings. It was roughly the length of an adult human, but far more lightly built, with hollow bones, a long balancing tail, and a narrow, flexible body. Strong hind legs carried it quickly over uneven ground, while grasping hands with 3 clawed fingers could seize small prey or hold struggling animals close to its chest. Each foot carried a curved, sickle-shaped claw on the second toe, held off the ground and ready to strike. This claw was not as massive as that of larger raptors like Deinonychus, but on a fast, agile hunter, it could still open deep wounds. Combined with sharp teeth and quick reflexes, it turned Troodon into a dangerous threat to anything small enough to catch, from mammals to juvenile dinosaurs hiding in the undergrowth. The name Troodon means wounding tooth in Greek, and it comes directly from its unusual teeth. Early fossils showed slender, leaf-shaped teeth with large, prominent serrations along the edges. These serrations worked like the teeth of a saw, slicing through flesh rather than simply stabbing it. Scientists have pointed to this as evidence showing that even a relatively small predator could deliver a specialized, damaging bite, cutting muscle and blood vessels efficiently. Inside the skull, another advantage waited. Among non-avian dinosaurs, Troodon had one of the highest brain-to-body ratios ever measured. Its brain case was large for its size, suggesting complex behavior and faster learning. The skull also held big, forward-facing eyes, giving it overlapping fields of view and strong depth perception. In many reconstructions, those eyes are enlarged, hinting at excellent night vision and the ability to hunt in low light when other dinosaurs were less active. A flexible, bird-like spine, long tail, and light frame meant Troodon could twist, duck, and sprint through dense vegetation. In a forest suddenly filled with falling branches, ash, and panicked animals, such agility played an important role in short-term survival. Intelligence could help it change hunting grounds, avoid unfamiliar dangers, and exploit new hiding places. Keen senses could detect distant fire, incoming shockwaves, or the faint rustle of weakened prey in the darkness. As the impact's first shadows stretch over late Cretaceous North America, one mature Troodon moves silently at dusk along a forest edge, following the scent and sound of small mammals. It is healthy, experienced, and perfectly adapted to this fragile world. In minutes, its sharp eyes, strong legs, and wounding teeth will face an enemy no dinosaur has ever met before: a sky that suddenly turns against the Earth. How long can even this survivor outrun the falling heavens? 66 million years ago, the land that will become Western North America is a world of heat and water. Broad, slow rivers twist through swampy lowlands, their banks lined with conifers and spreading flowering trees. Ferns and undergrowth choke the forest floor, and in the heavy, humid air, insects drone as the light fades toward evening. It is a rich, living landscape, and Troodon moves through the shadows at its edge. This late Cretaceous environment is one of the most productive ecosystems in dinosaur history. Along open floodplains, herds of hadrosaurs graze and browse, their deep skulls packed with batteries of grinding teeth that slice and crush tough vegetation. They move in groups, shoulder to shoulder, forming living walls of flesh that stretch from river channel to forest margin. Each step presses deep tracks into the mud, leaving fossils that scientists have later uncovered as silent records of their migrations. Near them, horned ceratopsians lift massive frills and sharp facial horns toward any threat. Their strong neck muscles hold those bony shields steady as they feed on low plants, but in an instant, they can swing to face danger. Together, they form a ring of pointed bone around their young. Behind them, ankylosaurs rumble past like living tanks, broad bodies covered in armor plates and spikes, heavy tail clubs ready to break the bones of any attacker that comes too close. Over this scene, apex predators such as Tyrannosaurus patrol the river terraces. Their huge heads carry thick, powerful jaws filled with crushing teeth, capable of driving deep into flesh and bone. Scientists have found evidence showing that these giants sometimes followed herds for long distances, waiting for a weak or injured animal to fall behind. Their towering forms dominate the open spaces, but the forest interior belongs to smaller, quicker hunters. Here, Troodon has its niche. Lightly built with long legs and a stiff balancing tail, it threads between trunks and across tangled roots. Its large forward-facing eyes gather the last light of dusk, and evidence showing that its vision and brain were highly developed suggests it hunted effectively at night when bigger predators were less active. It darts after small vertebrates, seizes lizards and baby dinosaurs, and raids nests for eggs and hatchlings, using its sharp, curved teeth and grasping hands to tear soft prey apart. The community around it is even more complex. Burrowing mammals retreat into deep tunnels beneath the roots, their compact bodies and digging claws perfectly suited to life underground. In quiet backwaters, crocodile relatives wait motionless just below the surface, while turtles rest in still ponds, safe in their shells. Early birds flit between branches overhead, light skeletons and feathers carrying them from tree to tree. These animals, shaped for hiding in water or soil, will soon gain an advantage that no dinosaur on the surface can match. In this world, Troodon is both hunter and hunted. It is dangerous to anything smaller than itself, but every rustle might signal a larger carnivore, a sudden flood, or a falling tree. The balance has held for millions of years, each species playing an important role in a stable web of life. None of them sense the unseen threat racing toward Earth from space. What happens when this familiar danger is replaced by something instant, global, and impossible to escape? In this familiar world of hunters and hunted, Troodon carries one of the most finely tuned killing machines of the late Cretaceous. It is not huge, but it is built for the hunt. From snout to tail tip, it stretches about 2 to 3 meters. A sleek, narrow-bodied dinosaur, shaped for speed rather than raw size. Its skeleton is light and air-filled, with hollow bones that reduce weight without losing strength. Long, powerful hind legs drive it forward in rapid bursts, the muscles bunching and releasing like coiled springs. Each stride is stabilized by a stiffened tail, reinforced by interlocking bony rods that turn it into a dynamic counterbalance. When Troodon darts through ferns or between tree trunks, that tail snaps from side to side, allowing sudden turns that might throw a heavier predator off its feet. The head at the front of this agile body is just as specialized. Troodon's skull is relatively large for its size, with big, forward-facing eye sockets. This arrangement gives stereoscopic vision, the ability to judge distance precisely in the half-light of dawn, dusk, or forest shade. Endocasts of its brain case provide evidence showing that the optic lobes were enlarged, suggesting strong visual processing and quick reactions to movement. In a quiet moment, even a faint rustle in the undergrowth might be detected by sensitive ears, allowing it to focus on a hidden animal long before it breaks cover. Its weapons are compact but deadly. The jaws hold rows of recurved, serrated teeth, shaped to grip and slice flesh rather than crush bone. Each tooth edge works like a tiny saw blade, cutting deep channels that spill blood quickly. At the end of long, flexible forelimbs, 3-fingered hands can seize, hold, and pull struggling prey closer. But the most famous weapon lies on the second toe of each foot, a retractable sickle-shaped claw, held off the ground as Troodon runs, then driven forward and downward in slashing kicks that tear into muscle and soft tissue. All of these features work together as a single hunting system. Strong hindlimb muscles give rapid acceleration, the stiff tail keeps balance, and a flexible neck whips the head into striking position in an instant. Inside the skull, a relatively large brain coordinates these movements, allowing precise timing when it lunges from cover or changes direction in pursuit. Scientists have long pointed to Troodon as one of the most intelligent non-avian dinosaurs, and that coordination played an important role in its success as a low-light predator many millions of years ago. Soon, these tools will be turned to a new purpose. The same eyes that track small animals in the dark will scan for falling debris and fire. The same legs that sprint after prey will dodge panicked herds and tumbling branches. For a short time after the asteroid strikes, this deadly body may help Troodon navigate a collapsing environment and find the last pockets of life. But how long can hunting skills delay the end when the entire world is turning against it? For a few fragile moments, Troodon's deadly body still seems like enough. Its senses are sharp, its legs are ready, its forest environment is familiar. But far beyond the tree line, over the curve of the planet, something has already happened that no predator's reflexes can truly meet. At the edge of the Yucatan Sea, the asteroid slams into Earth with energy greater than 1 billion nuclear bombs. In less than a heartbeat, rock behaves like liquid. A transient crater more than 100 kilometers wide opens, then rebounds as if the crust itself were elastic. Solid limestone and granite flash into vapor. A column of molten rock, metal and superheated gas blasts upward, punching through the atmosphere and flinging material into space. Scientists have created detailed models of this moment, with evidence showing that temperatures at ground zero briefly exceeded the surface of the sun. For an instant, the impact site is not just a crater. It is a roaring wound in the planet's crust. This single event will play an important role in ending the age of non-avian dinosaurs that began many millions of years ago. Thousands of kilometers away, Troodon does not see the crater. It sees the sky. On the horizon, there is a sudden, unnatural flash, wider than any sunrise and far brighter than lightning. Shadows in the forest turn razor sharp, then vanish as if erased. Night vision, once one of the most valuable tools in this hunter's life, is overwhelmed by a white glare that burns across the clouds. A low, rolling rumble follows, but it does not come from the air. It rises through the ground, through roots and buried bones, through Troodon's strong legs and flexible tail. For a few long seconds, there is an eerie pause. Leaves tremble. Insects fall silent. Troodon's head tilts, eyes wide, pupils narrowed to slits, listening to a planet that suddenly sounds unfamiliar. Then the first pressure wave arrives. Air that was still an instant before becomes a powerful, invisible wall. The blast slams into the forest, flattening trees as if they were reeds. Branches snap and turn into flying spears. Smaller dinosaurs are thrown from their feet and hurled against trunks. Dust, splinters, and shattered leaves fill the air, turning daylight into a choking storm. The ground shudders with earthquakes far beyond anything in Troodon's evolutionary memory. Distant cliffs collapse in roaring avalanches. Riverbanks crack and slump. Fossils that have rested undisturbed for millions of years are jolted in their rocky graves. Troodon drops into an instinctive crouch, tail stretched straight for balance, claws digging into the shaking soil. Its chest heaves with rapid breaths as it twists its neck, scanning for falling trees, for stampeding hadrosaurs, for any path that is not instantly deadly. Its strong legs, built for sudden sprints toward prey, are forced into frantic dodges as panicked dinosaurs crash through the undergrowth. Yet above this chaos, something even more dangerous is forming. Trillions of tiny superheated particles of rock and glass arc high beyond the atmosphere, thrown onto looping paths around the planet. They are silent. They are invisible from the forest floor. And as they begin to fall back toward Earth, they prepare to turn the entire sky into a lethal broiler. When that happens, what chance will any dinosaur, even Troodon, really have? For a brief, terrible moment, the sky above Troodon's forest becomes the most dangerous place on Earth. Far beyond the clouds, the trillions of glassy fragments blasted out of the crater complete their arc around the planet and begin to fall. Each grain is tiny, some no larger than sand, but together they form a deadly storm of stone. As this ejecta rushes back through the atmosphere at many kilometers per second, it compresses the air in front of it. Compressed air heats up, and with so many particles plunging downward at once, the upper sky turns into a vast, glowing sheet. Scientists have used computer models to show that this re-entry layer could reach temperatures like those inside a furnace. From the forest floor, it would look as if the heavens themselves were beginning to burn. That burning sky does not fall as flames. Instead, it shines. The superheated layer pours intense infrared radiation down toward the surface. Some researchers see evidence showing that in many regions, this radiant heat was strong enough to ignite dry plants directly, even without a single spark. For minutes to hours, the world is bathed in invisible fire. In Troodon's conifer forest, the effect is immediate. Needles that have been dropping for seasons form thick carpets beneath the trees. Fallen branches lie tangled in the underbrush, all of it is dry. All of it is ready. As the heat pulse strengthens, the first wisps of smoke curl from the forest floor, then burst into open flame. Separate patches of ground fire join together so quickly that it seems the entire understory has ignited at once. Farther away, hillsides covered in shrubs and low trees erupt into long-running fire fronts. Lines of orange race upslope, feeding on every twig and leaf. Columns of black and brown smoke rise, twisting to join the dust and ash already spreading from the impact. Daylight fades toward a deep, dirty twilight, even as the temperature climbs. For Troodon, survival in these first lethal hours depends on speed, senses, and size. This small predator, standing roughly as high as a human's knee, threads its way through the burning understory with rapid, darting movements. It dodges falling branches as trunks crack and collapse in sudden bursts of sparks. Burning cones and embers rain down, but its narrow body slips between roots and boulders, always searching for gaps where the flames are weakest. Its large, forward-facing eyes, adapted for hunting in the half-light many millions of years ago, now become one of the most important tools it has. As smoke thickens and the sun vanishes behind a choking ceiling, Troodon can still pick out shapes and paths that other dinosaurs would miss. Night vision, which once helped it stalk small prey, has played an important role in turning chaos into something it can read. In open floodplains beyond the forest edge, the story is very different. Massive hadrosaurs and horned ceratopsians, with strong legs and heavy bodies, find themselves trapped between advancing fire lines and steep riverbanks. Their size, which once protected them from smaller hunters with sharp teeth and slicing claws, offers no defense against heat that scorches skin and blinds eyes. Herds push and stumble, but there is nowhere to hide on bare ground. Even larger predators fare no better. A giant tyrannosaur, with bones built for crushing and a skull made for tearing flesh, cannot outpace walls of flame racing through dry grass. The same powerful lungs that once fueled long pursuits now drag in hot, smoky air. In this new environment, agility and the ability to navigate broken, cluttered ground matter more than brute strength. Troodon's path is not safe, only less hopeless. Each sprint through a gap buys moments as the firestorm hunts across the landscape. But as the sky darkens further and distant thunder begins to roll from superheated clouds, another threat is already forming above the burning world. What happens when the fires meet the coming darkness? The darkness does not fall gently. It arrives as a moving wall of ash and sparks, and Troodon's hunting body is suddenly drafted into a different kind of battle. Every part that once made it a precise killer is forced into service as armor, as shield, as escape tool. Its light, hollow-boned frame becomes one of the most important defenses it has. Many millions of years ago, this design allowed fast chases through dense forests, with quick bursts of speed to seize small prey. Under firestorm skies, the same light skeleton lets Troodon leap sideways in an instant, twist mid-stride, and zigzag between crashing trunks. Where heavier dinosaurs stumble and are pinned beneath falling branches, Troodon can dart through narrow gaps, its tail snapping like a counterweight to keep balance on broken, shifting ground. The eyes that once searched for hiding mammals and nesting sites also change purpose. Troodon's large forward-facing eyes react quickly as the world flickers between blinding flashes of burning resin and deep, smoke-dimmed gloom. Scientists have found skulls with expanded eye sockets, evidence showing that vision played an important role in its hunting life. In the chaos, that same sensitivity helps it pick out pale bands of clearer air, the dark mouths of ravines, or the sudden outline of a half-collapsed burrow dug by a mammal fleeing the same disaster. A fraction of a second's warning can mean the difference between a survivable shelter and a dead end filled with choking fumes. Its grasping hands and claws, built to seize and tear, are forced into new work. Troodon rakes at loose soil, deepening a shallow depression behind a fallen log, trying to sink its body just a little farther from the radiant heat. When the shelter grows too hot, those claws rip into rotting wood, shredding it aside to reach the cooler, damp core of a log or the narrow space beneath a root mass. On steeper ground, the same curved claws hook into rough rock, helping it cling to a low cliff as flames sweep the slope below, turning the predator into a desperate climber. Yet its own breathing system threatens it. Like many other fast theropods, Troodon likely carried bird-like air sacs threaded through its bones, a powerful engine for high-activity hunting. In clean air, this system is efficient, but in thick smoke, it drags hot, toxic gases deep into the body. Each deep breath that once fueled a sprint now burns. To survive, the animal must keep moving, searching for fleeting pockets of clearer atmosphere behind boulders, over streams, or in the turbulent wake of falling debris. Survival has a cost. Heat scorches along its flanks, where flames lick too close. Feathers or proto-feathers that once helped with balance and display are singed, curling into blackened edges. Muscles begin to tremble from repeated sprints as it abandons one collapsing refuge after another. The same predatory build that let it dominate its environment is pushed to its limits by an enemy that never tires, never slows, and covers the entire horizon. As Troodon staggers onward, the fires begin to fade in places, replaced by thicker, colder ash. But with the flames retreating, another danger emerges from the darkened sky, a world where the light itself is dying. Light does not simply fade, it is strangled. In the hours after impact, the same sky that burned like a furnace begins to thicken, as ash, soot, and vaporized rock rise into the upper air and spread around the spinning planet. Midday over Troodon's shattered forest turns first to a dim, bruised orange, then to a deep, unsettling twilight that feels like an eclipse that never ends. High above, fine dust and sulfur-rich aerosols drift into a global veil. Scientists have used impact models and rock layers to find evidence showing that this veil wrapped the Earth within a day, blocking most direct sunlight. The glowing sheets of re-entering ejecta fade. The firestorms lose their brightness, and the last patches of blue vanish behind a rolling ceiling of black. For Troodon, it is suddenly the first night of endless noon. The temperature responds almost as quickly as the light. Hours earlier, radiant heat from the sky baked the ground, roasting exposed animals where they stood. Now, with the sun cut off, that heat bleeds away into the choked atmosphere. Warm air collapses into cold downdrafts, and the burned landscape that felt like an oven becomes a chilling wasteland before a single day has passed. This thermal whiplash hits already wounded dinosaurs with a second invisible blow. Troodon moves through this strange half-light as one of the most prepared hunters still alive. Its large eyes, already adapted for low light, open wider, pupils stretching to drink in every flicker of distant embers, and the faint, scattered glow of fire reflected from the ash. Fossils of its skull show a broad space for the optic lobes, and scientists have argued that vision played an important role in its hunting. In this new darkness, that advantage finally matters. Sound becomes just as important as sight. With the wind carrying smoke and dust, Troodon's hearing picks up what its eyes cannot. The crash of a half-burned tree falling, the ragged breathing of a wounded hadrosaur, the thin, panicked squeaks of small mammals hiding in cracks. Each noise is both a warning and an opportunity. Which sounds like prey, and which sounds like something large enough to kill a small predator that makes a mistake. Among charred trunks and drifting ash, Troodon begins to hunt. It stalks along fallen logs, placing its feet carefully on firmer ground, using its strong legs to move quickly when needed, but slowing near any sound. A disoriented lizard, its eyes irritated by smoke, freezes too late. A small bird-like dinosaur, stunned by the sudden cold, moves clumsily through the undergrowth. Troodon's sickle claw grips, its teeth close, and brief, brutal meals keep its body fueled for another hour. For a moment, the endless night seems like an ally. But this darkness is deeper than any natural night, and it keeps growing colder. The calls of other creatures grow fewer. Each successful hunt is shadowed by a new problem. In a world where the light itself is dying, how long can any food chain survive at all? The darkness closing around true dawn is not just a feeling. In some places on Earth, that darkness has been frozen in stone. Far from the impact crater, in what is now North Dakota, a river valley called Tanis holds one of the most dramatic records of the first hours after the Chicxulub strike. Here, fossils capture a moment when the sky itself turned deadly. Delicate freshwater fish are preserved with tiny glass beads lodged in their gills. The remains of molten rock blasted into space and then falling back as burning spherules. Scientists have found these beads mixed with dinosaurs, tree trunks, and shattered branches, all buried together in thick, chaotic layers. This is not a slow burial over many years. It is a single violent event. The ground at Tanis records more than just debris. Layers rich in shocked quartz, iridium, and dense carpets of glass spherules form a chemical fingerprint of the impact. Shocked quartz forms only under extreme pressures, like those created when a powerful asteroid slams into the planet. Iridium, rare in Earth's crust but common in some meteorites, suddenly spikes in this thin boundary layer. Together, these materials provide evidence showing that a wave of ejecta rained down across the globe within hours, matching models of intense heat pulses and firestorms sweeping ancient landscapes. The bodies tell the rest of the story. At Tanis and similar sites, mixed piles of freshwater fish, land reptiles, tree trunks, and even parts of dinosaurs are jumbled together, facing different directions and twisted out of life position. Many fossils are aligned as if shoved by a sudden, powerful surge of water. Scientists have suggested that siege waves or inland tsunamis, triggered by seismic shock from the impact, raced through rivers and lakes far from the sea. In minutes, entire river communities were torn apart. In this shattered environment, small theropods very much like Troodon were present. While no confirmed Troodon skeleton lies in these exact deposits, late Cretaceous layers across North America hold the teeth and bones of similar predators. Slender toe bones, recurved teeth with fine serrations, fragments of light, hollow limbs. These remains show that agile, sharp-eyed hunters shared the doomed ecosystems recorded at sites like Tanis. The world Troodon moves through in darkness is the same world these fossils describe, but survival in the first shock did not guarantee safety. In many boundary layers, disarticulated skeletons, broken bones, and crushed skulls reveal animals that endured the initial blast, only to die soon after. Some dinosaur bones bear bite marks from scavengers taking advantage of sudden mass death. Others are snapped and scattered in flood deposits or charred and overlain by ash. This combination of impact debris, violent water, and fire-scarred remains shows that the danger unfolded in waves. Heat, falling glass, quakes, sieges, fires, and collapsing habitats. If this is what happened in a single valley, what was unfolding across an entire continent? The fossils suggest that even the strongest animals were trapped in a tightening net of disasters, each new blow arriving before life could recover from the last. Across the continent, the chain of disasters closed in over hours. Closer to the impact, there were no hours. There were only seconds. For millions of years, giant dinosaurs had ruled the coastal lowlands of western North America, and among them, one of the most terrifying hunters of all time walked the river mouths and swampy deltas, Tyrannosaurus rex. Here, near the shore facing the Gulf of Mexico, the landscape was warm, humid, and crowded with life. Herds of horned and duck-billed dinosaurs moved between forests and tidal channels, while crocodile-like reptiles lurked in the water. Over this rich environment, Tyrannosaurus stood as the apex predator. This animal stretched nearly 12 meters from snout to tail and weighed many tons, with a deep, barrel-shaped body and a massive skull that alone could reach the height of a grown human. The body of T-Rex was built like a living siege engine. Powerful hind legs drove it forward with long ground-eating strides, while a heavy muscular tail acted as a counterweight, balancing the huge head as it turned and struck. Its chest and hips were strongly reinforced with thick bones and strong muscle attachments, allowing it to absorb the shock of sudden movements and violent struggles with large prey. In life, this predator did not need to be the fastest animal. It needed to be unstoppable once it closed the distance. The skull of Tyrannosaurus was one of its most remarkable features. Scientists have found fossils showing that the skull was wide at the back, with large openings called fenestrae and robust bony struts between them. These openings reduced weight, but also played an important role in allowing the skull to flex slightly while staying strong, so it could withstand enormous forces. The jaws held thick, banana-shaped teeth designed not just to cut flesh, but to crush bone. Evidence showing that broken bones pass through its digestive system suggests that this dinosaur routinely bit through skeletons with a bite force among the strongest of any land animal. Yet at ground zero, none of this mattered. When the Chicxulub asteroid struck, the first shockwave raced through rock faster than sound in air. Near the impact, entire coastlines may have been vaporized. Air itself became a weapon, compressed into a wall of superheated wind. A Tyrannosaurus standing on a coastal plain would have had no time to react before the blast hit. Flesh, bones, and even the ground beneath its feet could be torn apart or hurled away in an instant. In this inner ring of devastation, the most powerful hunter on land was erased before it could even sense the threat. There was no desperate sprint, no last roar, only sudden absence. Many individuals of T-Rex near the Gulf likely died within seconds. Their hunting grounds transformed into a crater and a boiling sea. Farther inland, where Troodon hunted under darkening skies, the same impact created a different kind of danger. Instead of instant vaporization, there were firestorms, falling glass, quakes, and choking ash. Here, smaller predators had at least a brief window to move, to hide, to change behavior from active hunting to desperate survival. They were not safer because they were stronger. They were simply farther away and more flexible. This contrast reveals a deeper rule about planetary disasters. In normal times, most dangerous means size, strength, and the ability to crush bones or slice flesh. In the hours after the impact, the meaning shifted. The traits that mattered were adaptability, speed, and the capacity to exploit tiny pockets of survivable space and time. A giant like T-Rex could dominate an ecosystem for millions of years. But in the face of a global catastrophe, the future belonged to those that could bend rather than break, under a world transformed. What did that survival look like in the first days of darkness, when the sky itself became an enemy and familiar landscapes vanished almost overnight? To answer that, it is necessary to follow a much smaller hunter through the falling ash, into a planet that no longer behaved the way evolution had prepared it to do. Before the sky turned into fire and stone, Tyrannosaurus rex stood near the top of a rich and dangerous world. In the final 2 million years before the impact, this predator ruled the late Cretaceous landscapes of western North America around 68 to 66 million years ago. The region was a broad, humid patchwork of river deltas, floodplains, and coastal swamps, where warm climates and seasonal floods created dense vegetation and deep, shifting channels. In this environment, great herds of plant-eating dinosaurs moved along the river systems. Triceratops, with its massive frill and 3 horns, browsed in groups across fern plains and low forests. Edmontosaurus and other duck-billed hadrosaurs grazed along sandbars and levees, their bodies forming living walls of meat that stretched for hundreds of meters. These large herbivores provided an almost constant supply of prey and carcasses, and Tyrannosaurus rex was perfectly built to exploit that living resource. An adult T-Rex was one of the most imposing land predators that has ever walked the earth. The largest individuals stretched 12 to 13 meters from snout to tail, with hips more than 3 to 4 meters above the ground, and a body mass in the range of 8 to 10 tons. The skull alone could exceed 1.5 meters in length. It was a deep, blocky structure packed with thick, banana-shaped teeth that were not delicate blades, but heavy tools designed to crush bones rather than slice them cleanly. The skull of Tyrannosaurus rex was one of its most remarkable features. Large openings, called fenestrae, reduced weight and allowed space for air sacs and soft tissue, but strong bony struts and tightly interlocking sutures tied the structure together. This combination created a head that was both lighter than solid bone and able to withstand extreme forces. A reinforced skull roof and expanded rear region provided broad surfaces where massive jaw muscles could anchor, forming a powerful biting system that turned the entire head into a living press. Scientists have used detailed computer models and comparisons with crocodiles and sharks to estimate how this system performed in life. The results give bite forces in the range of 30,000 to more than 60,000 newtons, strong enough to pulverize large limb bones and crush pelvises. With each closing of the jaws, T-Rex could drive its teeth deep into a carcass, break apart the skeleton, and reach nutrient-rich marrow that many other predators could not access. In a world where every calorie played an important role, this ability offered a major advantage. There is clear fossil evidence showing that these were not just theoretical abilities. Many fossils of Triceratops frills bear healed bite marks that match the spacing and shape of T-Rex teeth, suggesting failed attacks from which the herbivores somehow escaped. Hadrosaur bones show deep punctures and shattered sections, again fitting the Tyrannosaur's dental pattern. Even coprolites, fossilized droppings, contain concentrated bone fragments, proving that this predator regularly crushed and swallowed hard skeletal pieces. Taken together, these lines of evidence show a hunter and scavenger that dominated its ecosystems in the final moments before the asteroid. Yet that same massive body, tied to large prey and open landscapes, would become a deadly disadvantage when the rivers boiled, the forests burned, and the days turned suddenly dark. How would a smaller, lighter predator fare when the same lands were buried in ash and falling embers? The answer lies with a very different kind of dinosaur, trying to survive in the first hours after impact. Far to the south of Trudon's shadowed forest, another predator stands in a very different world. Along the steamy Gulf Coast, a fully grown Tyrannosaurus rex moves through a humid lowland of tangled trees, broad rivers, and thick, buzzing air. This is one of the most dangerous hunters that ever lived, built for power and shock, its heavy footfalls shaking wet ground as it follows the scent of hadrosaurs along a muddy channel. The skull of this animal is a fortress of strong bones and air-filled spaces, carrying massive jaw muscles that can crush through armor and ribs. Its teeth are thick and rounded, able to bite through flesh and bone together. Forward-facing eyes look out across a landscape of ferns and flowering plants, and sensitive ears pick up distant calls. Scientists have evidence showing that Tyrannosaurus rex had an excellent sense of smell, allowing it to track prey and carcasses over long distances. In this warm, resource-rich environment, every part of its body is tuned for domination. But above this hunting ground, beyond the clouds, something else is moving faster than any dinosaur. The asteroid has already struck the shallow sea to the east, releasing energy far beyond any volcanic eruption. A wall of superheated air and debris races inland at hundreds of kilometers per hour. The giant predator pauses beside the water, perhaps resting, perhaps watching a herd move through the trees, completely unaware that the real threat is invisible and closing. The first sign is not sight, but pressure. air slams forward as a colossal shockwave, flattening forests in a single sweeping motion. Trees that stood for hundreds of years are snapped and hurled like spears. Rocks, broken branches, and burning fragments of the ground itself are launched through the air. In this instant, the powerful muscles and thick skull of Tyrannosaurus rex offer no protection. The blast can throw even a multi-ton body, crush lungs, and rupture organs before the animal can react. Scientists have studied impact physics and found evidence showing that near the crater, the pressure changes alone could strip flesh from bone. For a moment, the hunter is weightless, surrounded by flying trunks and shattered branches. Then the ground rises to meet it. Ribs break, limbs twist. The legendary bite force that once shattered ceratopsian frills means nothing against energy released on a planetary scale. Evolution built this dinosaur to fight other living things, not the atmosphere itself. Zooming out, the pattern repeats along coastlines and plains across the continent. Other adult tyrannosaurs, abelisaurids in the southern lands, even long-necked titanosaurs grazing near rivers, are struck down almost instantly in regions close to the impact. Dominant predators and giants that played an important role in their ecosystems vanish in minutes, leaving empty hunting grounds and silent riverbanks. Yet far from the blast zone, in a cooler forest where ash is only beginning to fall, Troodon still moves. The kings are gone, but the sky grows darker each hour, and the real killers, cold, darkness, and hunger, are only just beginning their work. How long can a small, clever dinosaur endure in a world where the light itself is dying? Morning never truly arrives. Ash drifts down like black snow, turning leaves, fallen logs, and half-buried bones into the same dull gray. The forest that once shaded Troodon is broken and burned, its trees toppled and smoldering, their trunks split open by shockwaves from the impact many millions of years ago. Overhead, the sun is only a faint, reddish disk behind a thick haze, casting a perpetual twilight over the land that will not lift. Troodon moves through this wreckage with careful, deliberate steps. Its long legs carry it over tangled roots and fallen trunks, while its stiff tail stretches behind as a living counterweight, keeping its body balanced on unstable ground. Each step tests the ash-coated surface because beneath the gray carpet lie hidden sinkholes, loose stones, and pockets of heat where roots still burn. This small predator scans constantly, its large forward-facing eyes searching for both prey and new threats in a world that has turned against it. Rivers that once played an important role in shaping this environment are almost unrecognizable. Their surfaces are choked with charred branches, dead fish, and the bloated bodies of other dinosaurs swept downstream by earlier shockwaves. Along one muddy bank, Troodon pauses. A young hadrosaur lies there, its skin blistered and blackened, flanks heaving weakly as ash settles into open wounds. Scientists have found fossils of similar animals with burn damage and collapsed lungs, evidence showing that the first hours after impact were filled with lethal heat and choking air. Troodon approaches at an angle, cautious even before feeding. Another small theropod is already there, a lean predator with strong legs and a narrow skull, its teeth flashing as it tears at the calf's exposed flesh. For a moment, the two survivors freeze. Heads low, arms spread, sickle claws lifted, they face each other in a tense standoff of claws and teeth. In a richer world, such a meeting might end in a chase. Here, both are tired and both are hungry. With a sudden lunge and hiss, Troodon darts in, snapping at the rival's shoulder. The other predator recoils, then retreats a few steps, unwilling to risk serious injury. In this collapsing ecosystem, even a small wound can be fatal. Troodon wastes no time. It rakes its jaws along the hadrosaur's flank, using serrated teeth to slice through charred skin and cooked muscle, pulling away strips of meat that steam in the cold, ash-laden air. It swallows quickly, hardly chewing. Staying in one place is dangerous. Falling branches, rolling stones from unstable slopes, and unseen fires under the ash could end this fragile advantage in a heartbeat. Small mammals dart between exposed roots nearby, risking brief dashes to drag away fragments of flesh. They are not ignored, but they are not chased. Every burst of speed must be saved for true threats. Across the day, Troodon feeds on whatever it can find. A half-buried ceratopsian leg, a dead bird-like dinosaur tangled in branches, a fish stranded in a shrinking pool. This is opportunistic feeding at its most desperate. Once, this hunter could select targets, using keen senses and night vision to choose the safest path to a kill. Now it lives in constant reaction, its powerful abilities turned towards scraping by in an environment that is collapsing faster than any predator can adapt. How long can such a strategy hold as the light fades further and the first true cold begins to bite? The scene around Troodon feels like pure chaos, but it is not imagined. It is written in rock. Along ancient river channels and coastal plains, there are sediment layers where rich, fossil-filled sands and muds end in a razor-sharp line, capped by a thin, dark band. Below that line, diverse shells, leaves, and dinosaur bones show a thriving environment. Above it, there is almost nothing but soot, charcoal, and ash. The world changes in a single stroke. In many places, this boundary clay is only centimeters thick, yet it marks one of the most violent turning points in Earth's history. Scientists have found that the sediments just under it hold abundant fossils of plants, insects, and many kinds of dinosaurs, preserved in normal life positions. Directly above, the rock shifts to a dull gray layer streaked with black. There are tiny glassy grains from impact ejecta, and there are soot particles packed so densely that they form a dark smear through the rock. This is physical evidence showing that fire swept across continents. Charcoalified plant remains lie inside that smear. Leaves and twigs are preserved as brittle, jet-black ghosts, their cellular structure baked but still recognizable under a microscope. Similar soot and charcoal layers appear in North America, Europe, Asia, and even the Southern Hemisphere, far from the Chicxulub crater. For millions of years before, such layers are rare and thin, but right at the KPG boundary, they suddenly spike. Global forests did not simply decline, they burned. The charred trunks and smoldering logs that surround Troodon have direct analogs in these rocks. In some regions, the story becomes even more crowded. Bone beds from the very end of the Cretaceous preserve multiple species jumbled together, their skeletons broken, twisted, and mixed. Herbivores and predators lie side by side, with bones oriented in the same direction, as if swept by violent water. Sediment structures show rapid flooding and sudden burial, not slow accumulation. These are not the quiet losses of background extinction. They are mass mortality events, frozen moments when entire communities died in hours or days. At a much smaller scale, another signal appears. Just above the soot-rich layer, microfossils of pollen and spores change dramatically. Diverse tree pollen almost vanishes, replaced by a sudden abundance of fern spores, a pattern called the fern spike. Scientists have used this spike as one of the most reliable markers of the impact's aftermath. It shows that forests were largely destroyed, and that hardy, fast-spreading ferns played an important role as the first plants to reclaim the empty land. This new fern-dominated world will rise long after Troodon's last heartbeat. Seen together, these clues turn the scene around this lone predator into more than a dramatic reconstruction. The ash clinging to its feathers echoes the soot bands in rock. The burned carcasses it tears with sharp teeth mirror the jumbled bone beds of mixed victims. The toppled trees and blackened ground match the global charcoal layers. Every desperate step Troodon takes through the ruins is anchored to the layered record buried beneath modern feet, waiting for the next section of this story to reveal what comes after the fires fade. As As the last flames die down, another killer takes their place. Above Troodon, the sky is no longer bright with fire, but choked with dust, ash, and sulfur, blown around the globe by the impact. Scientists have evidence showing that fine particles from the Chicxulub crater rose high into the atmosphere and spread for thousands of kilometers. For weeks to months, they would have blocked most sunlight, turning midday into a dim, cold twilight. Without strong light, plants cannot carry out normal photosynthesis, so the green foundation of the food chain begins to fail almost immediately. In the first day or two, this false night seems to favor Troodon. This small predator already hunted at dusk and after dark many millions of years ago, using forward-facing eyes and a relatively large brain to see and react in low light. While larger dinosaurs stumble through the smoke, half blind and confused, Troodon can still track shapes, follow movement, and read the broken landscape with dangerous precision. It moves along the edges of burned clearings and fallen trees, slipping between trunks like a shadow with feathers and teeth. Small herbivorous dinosaurs that survived the heat pulse now cough from smoke damage, their skin blistered, their movements slow. Troodon watches from cover, then darts in with quick bites to soft tissue, using its sharp teeth and strong legs to finish prey that would have easily escaped only a day before. Not every meal comes from a chase. In this endless twilight, Troodon raids nests of surviving birds and reptiles that still cling to scorched sandbars and exposed banks. Eggs and hatchlings offer rich energy with little risk. It also scavenges, approaching carcasses of larger dinosaurs that no longer have powerful guardians. With the giant predators dead or dying, there is less competition over meat, and Troodon's keen senses help it locate bodies hidden under ash and fallen branches. But the advantage is already beginning to fade. As the sky stays dark and temperatures drop, the plants that played an important role in feeding small herbivores start to die back. Ferns, undergrowth, and leaves wither or burn away completely. The insects and tiny vertebrates that depended on this plant life weaken, starve, or freeze. For Troodon, each successful hunt becomes rarer. The small animals it depends on are fewer and more scattered, so it must travel farther between encounters, burning precious energy in the cold. Every sprint, every leap over a fallen trunk, every climb over a mound of bones drains reserves that are no longer being fully replaced. This predator was shaped by a rich, living forest, by dense cover, abundant prey, and a complex environment. Now those same adaptations turn against it. Its senses are still sharp, its tools still deadly, but the forest has gone silent. What happens when a hunter remains powerful, yet the world around it continues to empty, hour by hour? For millions of years, giant reptiles had ruled the surface world, but in the hours after impact, the surface becomes one of the most dangerous places on Earth. While Troodon still moves through the fading forest, other survivors have already vanished from sight, slipping into places where the firestorm cannot easily reach. Beneath the scorched ground, small mammals retreat into their burrows. These insectivores and omnivores huddle in twisting tunnels, where the temperature stays far more stable than in the burning air above. Soil filters smoke and ash, turning lethal clouds into a dull, choking haze that is easier to endure. Many of these animals survive on stored food, on insects drawn into the cool darkness, or on low-energy diets that allow their bodies to slow almost to a crawl. Scientists have found fossil burrow systems from around this time, with scratch marks and compacted sediment showing repeated use. This evidence, showing that underground shelters played an important role in survival, suggests a very different strategy from that of any active predator. In the tunnels, there is no need to chase, to leap, or to strike. The greatest skill is simply to wait. In the water, another group takes refuge. crocodile relatives and turtles slip beneath the surface of ponds, rivers, and coastal lagoons. A thin layer of water becomes a shield against the powerful radiant heat and falling embers from the sky. These reptiles slow their metabolisms, holding their breath for long periods, resting on the bottom or under banks while floating debris, dead fish, and burned animals drift within reach. Here, strong jaws and simple crushing teeth are enough. Scientists have long noted that crocodilians can endure long stretches without fresh food, drawing on fat reserves and lowering their energy needs. In a world where plants are burning and prey is scarce, the ability to become almost motionless is a decisive advantage. High above the ash-choked ground, some survivors are still technically dinosaurs. Early birds, the avian dinosaurs, beat their way through the darkened air. With beaks and muscular gizzards, they can grind seeds, nuts, and tough plant material that remain even as leafy vegetation disappears. Seeds buried in soil, cones still clinging to scorched branches, and hard fruits scattered on the ground form a quiet, persistent food source when green leaves are gone. Fossils from many millions of years ago show small bird skeletons associated with seed-rich sediments, evidence showing that this diet helped them cross the extinction boundary. While large plant-eating dinosaurs starve, these light-boned survivors pick at what the fire cannot easily destroy. Against this backdrop, Troodon's strengths reveal their limits. It is a high metabolism hunter, built for frequent, protein-rich meals. Its sharp teeth and grasping hands are perfect for catching small animals, but it has little capacity to hibernate, to burrow deeply, or to live on seeds and detritus. Every heartbeat demands fuel. In an environment where each potential prey animal is hiding underground, underwater, or high above, its specialization becomes a trap. In this new world, the meaning of most dangerous changes. Lethal claws, agile legs, and keen senses once ruled the night, but in an age of darkness and ash, the most successful creatures are those that can vanish, endure, and wait. The hunter remains powerful, yet the quiet animals in the shadows are the ones shaping the distant future. Which strategy will truly define the next age of life on Earth? In the shattered landscape, most dangerous no longer means the biggest jaws or the heaviest bones. It means the predator that can move, see, and feed while the world itself is burning and going dark. Not far from Troodon's forest, another small killer stalks the chaos. A dromaeosaurid, a raptor-like dinosaur from the same region. In normal times, it is one of the most formidable hunters in its size range, with a slightly heavier build than Troodon, thicker leg bones, and larger, deeply curved sickle claws on its second toes. Scientists have evidence showing that these claws could open deep wounds or pin struggling prey, especially when supported by strong hind limbs and a stiff balancing tail. In a stable environment, this raptor's habits make it terrifying. Its long arms and gripping hands, combined with good depth perception, suit coordinated attacks. Fossils of related dromaeosaurids near grouped herbivores suggest that pack hunting behavior may have played an important role, with several animals rushing in from different angles. Ambushes in semi-open terrain, along riverbanks and forest edges, allow them to use short bursts of speed and those powerful claws to bring down victims larger than a single hunter. Troodon, by contrast, is built like a shadow. Its lighter frame, longer lower legs, and relatively larger eyes point to a different hunting style. Instead of depending on a team, it slips alone through dense forest, weaving between trunks and fallen logs. Its vision and hearing help it track small animals in low light, and its more delicate teeth hint at a diet that may include insects, small vertebrates, and possibly carrion. In the first hours after impact, when ash clouds dim the sky, this forest specialist is suddenly in its element. Then a pattern interrupt: wings. Above the choking smoke, early birds launch from branches and rock ledges. These avian dinosaurs are smaller still, with hollow bones and feathered arms that allow short flights or gliding escapes. Some peck at seeds, others snatch insects from the air or pick at dead flesh along river margins. This wider diet gives them options as plant leaves wither, insects fall stunned from the air, and carcasses begin to line the blackened ground. In the first 72 hours, 3 traits matter more than any others. Speed and agility decide which animals can outrun advancing fire fronts and dodge falling debris. Sensory acuity, especially in low light, decides which hunters can navigate through smoke and sudden darkness. Dietary breadth decides which survivors can find enough energy in a collapsing food web. Here, Troodon and the early birds quietly overtake the heavier raptor. The dromaeosaurids' strong claws and pack tactics mean little when groups are scattered. Visibility is poor, and large prey animals are dying faster than they can be hunted. For a brief moment, Troodon may be the most dangerous small predator left on the ground. Its senses and speed perfectly matched to a world of ash. But its feathered cousins in the trees and on the ground carry something more important than sharp teeth or strong legs. The only combination of flight, flexibility, and diet that will see their lineage through the long winter to come. Which of these hunters truly owns the future, and which is only borrowing time from a dying age? For many millions of years, Troodon's world had been wide, familiar, and full of chances to hunt. On the second day after the impact, that world has narrowed to a painful limp through ash and silence. The confident night hunter is still alive, but every step shows the cost of surviving the first firestorm. Burns run along one side of its body where the heat pulse brushed too close. Feathers that once helped regulate temperature and signal to rivals hang in blackened clumps. One eye blinks repeatedly, irritated by fine ash that grinds against the surface like sand. Its movements, once smooth and precise, are broken by small hesitations and stiff joints. Each uneven footprint presses into drifts of gray dust between skeletal trees stripped of leaves, branches pointing upward like the ribs of a dead world. Water has become more important than any hunt. Dehydration threatens even a strong predator, long before starvation finishes the job. Troodon pauses, tilts its head, and listens. Beneath the distant crack of falling trunks and the hiss of settling dust, there is a faint, irregular sound, trickling. It follows this weak promise of life down into a ravine carved long before the asteroid, when this environment was humid and green. At the bottom, a stream still moves, but it is choked with death. Dead fish lie packed against rocks, their scales dulled by ash. Bloated dinosaur bodies have drifted into the narrow channel and jammed there, legs splayed, necks twisted. The water carries the oily sheen of decaying fat and burned plant matter. Scientists have found similar layers in the rocks, with dark bands rich in organic debris, evidence showing that rivers briefly became channels of rotting life after the impact. Troodon hesitates. The smell is thick and wrong, but thirst wins. It tests the edge with its tongue, then drinks quickly from a shallow side pool where the flow has filtered some of the filth. This water is tainted, but not yet deadly. Not today. Hunger presses next. Following the stench of opened flesh, Troodon finds a large herbivore collapsed on its side, ribs rising and falling in shallow, failing breaths. The giant's skin is cracked by burns, and its flanks bear deep gouges where falling debris or earlier predators tore through muscle. Around such a carcass, danger often gathers. Scavengers, hidden teeth, and sudden kicks have killed many smaller hunters. Troodon circles, staying just beyond the sweep of a dying leg. Then it lunges in short, controlled bursts, using quick bites to tear loose strips of flesh from softer areas between the ribs and under the tail. Its teeth are not built to crush bone like Tyrannosaurus, but they slice efficiently. Each time it rips free a bloody piece, it darts back to a safer distance to swallow, throat working hard, eyes never resting on one point for long. This constant scanning burns energy. Every sound might signal falling debris or shifting ground. Every shadow might hide another desperate survivor. Each choice, stay and feed, flee, or search for cleaner water, has become a gamble with shrinking reserves. The asteroid ended the age of giants in minutes, but the true killer is this grinding, hour-by-hour exhaustion. As the ash thickens and daylight fades toward a permanent twilight, Trudon's world contracts even further. Familiar hunting paths are buried. Prey has vanished, or lies dead and toxic. Territory, once measured in wide river valleys and forest edges, has shrunk to a few broken clearings and the memory of where water might still flow. It is one of the most capable small predators of its time, yet that advantage is slipping away with every breath. How long can intelligence and speed fight against a sky that will not brighten and a landscape that offers only poison and bones? The scars on Trudon's body are fresh, but the story they tell is ancient. For millions of years, dinosaurs carried their battles, accidents, and desperate escapes inside their bones, leaving a record of pain that outlived flesh. In this darkened world, Trudon's burned skin and limping gait are only the latest lines in a history of injury and survival. Scientists have uncovered fossils with bones that were broken, infected, and then partly healed. Large theropods show leg fractures that fused back together, ribs that knitted after being snapped, and skulls with deep bite marks that later smoothed at the edges as bone regrew. Some plant-eating dinosaurs even have tail clubs or frills scarred by powerful teeth, with clear evidence showing that the animal survived long enough for healing to begin. Life, long before the asteroid, was already a constant struggle against injury, predators, and an unforgiving environment. Closer to the KPG boundary, the story changes. In rocks laid down just before the extinction, scientists have found skeletons with shattered limbs and crushed ribs that show no sign of healing at all. A hadrosaur preserved with a broken leg, an ankylosaur with its armor plates driven into the body, and theropods with snapped vertebrae all suggest catastrophic events that ended life too quickly for recovery. These unhealed wounds match a world hit by sudden floods, wildfires, and violent landscape changes as the impact's shock rippled through the planet. Inside the bones, the record becomes even more detailed. Under the microscope, bone histology reveals rings and lines, like the growth rings of trees. Some lines are regular, marking seasonal slowdowns, but others are crowded, jagged, and interrupted. These stress lines point to repeated periods of famine, drought, or cold. Near the boundary, such patterns become more intense, as if growth was constantly being stopped and restarted. This microscopic evidence, showing interrupted growth, suggests that environmental stress was rising even before the final blow. Another pattern interrupt appears in the teeth marks left on those same skeletons. Many boundary layer fossils carry gouges, punctures, and scraped surfaces that match the teeth of large predators and smaller scavengers. Some bones are chewed at the ends. Others have parallel bite marks where strong jaws tested every remaining scrap of tissue. In a few sites, the same carcass shows repeated feeding traces, hinting that bodies lay exposed for days or weeks, while hungry animals returned again and again to the only food left. Trudon's frantic feeding on dying herbivores, its singed feathers and painful limp, mirror this fossil record. Its last days are not a clean ending, but part of a brutal pattern in which survival stretched out into suffering. Many millions of years later, the bones found at the boundary show that countless dinosaurs did not die in an instant flash, but in a drawn-out collapse of bodies and ecosystems. The question is, in a world this damaged, what could still cling to life when the first 3 days had passed? For a brief moment, It almost feels like the old world has returned. In a small, unburned pocket of forest, where the flames skipped and the ash lies thinner, a few lizards and juvenile dinosaurs still cling to life among blackened trunks and fallen branches. Trudon moves through this refuge like a shadow that remembers how to hunt. Its steps are silent on the damp, charred leaf litter. Body low, tail held stiff for balance as it threads between scorched roots and tilted logs. The air is thick and dim, but its large, forward-facing eyes catch every flicker of motion. Here, away from the open killing fields of heat and smoke, its ancient design still fits the damaged environment. Ahead, a small ornithopod, no larger than a modern deer, noses weakly at singed ferns. It is underweight, its ribs showing through the skin, but it is still one of the most valuable prizes left in this dying forest. Trudon freezes, head tilted, listening to the faint scrape of hooves on ash and the soft hiss of its own breathing. For a heartbeat, predator and prey share the same poisoned air. Then it strikes. Powerful hind legs launch the hunter forward in a sudden burst, sickle claw lifted and ready. The ornithopod wheels to flee, but Trudon's curved toe slams into its flank, hooking deep and dragging it down. Claw and body weight pin the panicked dinosaur sideways, while its hands grip for purchase. In a rapid blur, sharp teeth close again and again on the neck and shoulder, tearing through skin and sliding along bones. The struggle is over in seconds. The efficiency remains, even if the world that trained it is gone. Scientists have found evidence showing that similar small theropods used this combination of slashing claws and repeated biting attacks many millions of years ago, leaving characteristic marks on the fossils of plant-eating dinosaurs. Here, that same strategy still plays an important role, but only in buying a few more hours of strength. Later, hunger drives Trudon upward instead of forward. A leaning trunk, half burned and resting against another tree, points toward a cluster of branches where a bird's nest clings above the ash. The dinosaur does not rush. It tests the base of the trunk with careful pushes of its foot, feeling for dangerous shifts. Only when the wood holds does it climb, using its hands to brace against rough bark, claws digging in as it inches along the precarious ramp. Halfway up, a gust of heated wind rattles the dead canopy. The trunk creaks. Trudon flattens its body, gripping tighter, head pressed low until the movement fades. Its brain, relatively large for a dinosaur of its size, processes balance, distance, and risk in an instant. Then it advances again, slow and deliberate, until its snout reaches the nest. The reward is small. A few eggs? Perhaps a weak, half-grown chick. Trudon uses its hands with surprising precision, steadying its body while the jaws work. Shells crack, warm yolk and thin meat swallowed quickly. In another age, this would be a side meal, a supplement between larger kills. Here, it is a crucial victory measured in mouthfuls. In the muffled, ash-filled air, every sound seems magnified. The faint rustle of a lizard under bark, the soft drip of condensed moisture from a scorched fern, the distant crack of another tree finally failing in the heat pulse's aftermath. Every faint scent stands out as Trudon's nostrils flare, sorting traces of burned resin, decaying flesh, and the thin, living smell of surviving prey. Its brain still filters these signals with the same predatory focus that once made it a terror of the twilight forests. Yet each success is smaller than the last. The ornithopod's body, once a feast, is wasted by starvation and shock. The nest holds only a fraction of the energy that a full forest could provide. The gaps between these encounters stretch longer, forcing Trudon to travel farther through silent, empty stands of trees that hold no movement at all. What does it mean for a hunter to perform its greatest displays of power when there is almost nothing left to hunt? In this collapsing ecosystem, every perfect stalk, every precise leap, every carefully planned climb only delays the inevitable. The same adaptations that once made Troodon a thriving predator now serve as tools for rationing the last scraps of life in a world running out of food. Its skills still function, but the system around them has failed. The forest grows quieter with each passing hour, setting the stage for what happens when even a survivor's body begins to fail before its instincts do. The forest's silence hides something remarkable inside Troodon's skull. Among non-avian dinosaurs, it carries one of the most enlarged brains, packed into a narrow, lightly built head. The space for its brain arches high and wide, with expanded regions for sight and smell. Scientists have created detailed casts of these brain cavities from fossils, revealing that sensory processing played an important role in Troodon's daily life many millions of years ago. Compared with the heavy low brains of giant carnivores, Troodon's nervous system looks almost bird-like. The optic lobes are large, matching its huge forward-facing eyes. The inner ear suggests strong balance and quick head movements. There is evidence showing that this predator could track moving prey in low light, remember paths through dense vegetation, and perhaps adjust its hunting approach when a favorite target became scarce. In a stable environment, that kind of flexibility is a powerful advantage. When scientists compare its brain to those of modern animals, an even sharper picture appears. Relative to body size, Troodon's brain approaches that of some early birds and far exceeds most reptiles. Its cognitive potential may have been similar to a predatory bird or even a corvid, capable of learning from experience, testing new strategies, and using short-term memory to stalk nervous herbivores. It might have watched nesting sites, timed its attacks, or shifted between ambush and pursuit as conditions changed. But intelligence has limits that no dinosaur can cross. A clever hunter can learn where prey hides, yet it cannot summon prey that no longer exists. Troodon can follow the last living scent trails through ash and smoke, but it cannot clear the dust from the sky or restore the sun's warmth. No amount of problem-solving can predict a once-in-a-billion-years asteroid impact or reverse the chain of events that turns forests into charcoal and rivers into toxic sludge. This is where the contrast with smaller survivors becomes deadly clear. Burrowing mammals with simple bodies and tiny brains retreat into the ground and wait. Their low-energy lifestyles mean that a few roots, insects, or stored plant fragments can keep them alive for days or weeks. Seed-eating birds swallow tough, durable seeds that remain edible long after leaves and fresh shoots have vanished. Their success depends less on moment-to-moment cleverness and more on needing almost nothing from a collapsing world. Troodon, by comparison, is built to burn energy. Long legs, sharp teeth, and a fast brain demand constant fuel. In the first 72 hours, this combination makes it one of the most dangerous survivors in the darkened forest, able to sense weakness and exploit any remaining movement. Yet every successful hunt also marks another step toward emptiness. As the weeks stretch on, the winners are not the strongest hunters or the sharpest thinkers, but the smallest, least demanding creatures. Troodon's mind buys time but not a future, and that difference will decide which dinosaurs truly outlive the impact. Troodon's advantage is almost gone. On the third day, the mind that bought it time is trapped in a body that can no longer keep up with a dying world. The forest that was once warm and wet has turned strange and foreign. Ash still drifts from the dark sky, but now the air itself bites. Frost crystals begin to form along ash-coated leaves, tracing white edges over blackened plants that only days earlier belonged to a subtropical environment. Troodon moves through this dim maze with slow, careful steps, each exhale turning into a pale cloud that hangs in front of its snout before fading into the chill. The soundscape of the Cretaceous has emptied. Many millions of years of insect hum, frog calls, and distant herds are reduced to almost nothing. There are no choruses of small lizards, no deep, rolling calls from horned dinosaurs on the floodplain. Instead, there's only the faint creak of dying trees shifting in the cold and the dry, powdery crunch of Troodon's feet pressing into layers of ash. When a branch snaps somewhere in the distance, the noise is so sharp in the silence that the predator flinches, its frayed nerves reacting a second too late. Its body is failing in ways that cannot be hidden. Muscles along the legs and tail, once tight and powerful, have begun to sink against the bones as fat reserves are burned away. Movements that were quick and precise on the first night are slower and less certain. It walks for a few dozen steps, then stops to stand motionless, sides heaving, eyes half-focused. Small burns and cuts along its skin, earned during the firestorms and falling debris, have darkened at the edges. Without enough energy to fuel its immune system, these wounds fester instead of closing. Scientists have evidence showing that small predators like Troodon were probably among the last non-avian dinosaurs still able to hunt in this new darkness. But even that advantage has limits. Driven by hunger and cold, Troodon finally sights a thin, shivering shape. A small mammal or early bird, pressed low against a fallen branch, its own breath fogging in the air. The predator lowers its head, tail lifting for balance, and launches into a charge that would once have been deadly. This time, the timing is wrong. Its feet slip in the frost-dusted ash, its legs respond just a fraction too slowly, and the target bursts away at the final instant, vanishing into a crack beneath a root. Troodon skids, stumbles, and comes to rest with its jaws snapping on empty air, teeth closing with a dull click. It stands there, panting clouds of steam, disoriented, the coordination that once played an important role in its success beginning to unravel. Shivering, it retreats from the open ground. Beneath a fallen trunk, where ash has piled into a shallow depression, Troodon lowers itself and curls its body into a tight coil, tucking its head beneath its tail feathers to trap any remaining warmth. Ash continues to fall in a slow, steady veil, settling on its back and along its half-closed eyelids. In this cramped shelter, one of the most dangerous hunters of its ecosystem is reduced to a faint outline in the gray, a shadow of bones and breath waiting in the cold. But as the third day ends, is it waiting for recovery? Or for the final silence to arrive? Troodon's shallow den fades into darkness, but the story of its final hours stretches far beyond that cramped shelter. The asteroid's impact was instantaneous, a single violent moment in time, yet the extinction it triggered unfolded across hours, days, and perhaps a few fragile years. Different dinosaurs met the end of their line on very different clocks. Near ground zero, in what is now the Yucatan Peninsula, the timeline was brutally short. Shockwaves, earthquakes far beyond any recorded by humans, and a blast of heat strong enough to ignite forests ended lives within minutes. Many animals never even had time to flee. Farther away, firestorms arrived later, and choking dust storms rolled across the land. Some dinosaurs survived long enough to see the sun rise and set again, their powerful bodies still moving while the environment around them collapsed. Scientists have created detailed models of what happened in the atmosphere after impact. Vaporized rock and sulfur shot high into the sky, spreading a veil of dust and aerosols around the entire planet. These tiny particles blocked sunlight so effectively that midday could have looked like deep twilight. Temperatures at the surface plunged, and for months to years, plants received only a fraction of the light they needed. This is where the long-term fate of large dinosaurs was sealed. Even a strong predator with sharp teeth and fast legs cannot hunt if the food web beneath it has been shattered. With plants dying, herbivores starved, and with herbivores gone, the great carnivores followed. Modeling studies show that such a nuclear winter state made survival of large, warm-blooded, food-demanding animals extremely unlikely beyond a short window. Yet the fossils do not show a single clean line where every species stops. The record at the very end of the Cretaceous is sparse and patchy. In the rocks close to the boundary layer, Entire groups vanish from one layer to the next, but there is rarely evidence showing that the very last individual of a species has been found. The final Troodon, the final Hadrosaur, the final Tyrannosaur remain invisible. Their bones either never buried or never discovered. This uncertainty has led to a striking debate. Could there have been dead clades walking? Lineages that stumbled across the boundary into the earliest Paleogene, only to disappear shortly after? A few scattered fossils have been suggested as candidates, but closer study has usually reassigned them to slightly older rocks or to surviving bird lineages. Scientists have not found convincing evidence that non-avian dinosaurs were thriving after the impact layer. In that context, Troodon's 3-day survival becomes a plausible microcosm. Some dinosaurs almost certainly lived long enough to pass through several cycles of day and night, feeling the world grow darker and colder around them. Their senses, their brains, their hunting skills had played an important role in their ecosystems for many millions of years, but against a planet-sized catastrophe, they could not prevail. The line continued only in smaller, more adaptable avian forms. For Troodon and its kin, 3 days were not a path to recovery, but a brief delay before extinction. Yet within that delay lies one of the most haunting questions of all. What did the last hunters see as their world faded? And how close did they come to escaping a fate that no strength or speed could avoid? The answer to that question lies here, under a fallen trunk, where the last hours of this small hunter are almost silent. The world-ending blast has passed, the firestorms have moved on, and what remains is a gray stillness pressing in on Troodon from every side. Pinned, but no longer struggling, its breathing has become shallow and uneven. Each rise of the ribcage is weaker than the last, the movement barely lifting the ash that coats its feathered sides. Its once bright eyes, adapted for hunting in the dusk, are dull and half-lidded, the slit of the pupil no longer tracking every flicker of light. Only small twitches remain, a faint curl of one claw, a slow fading sweep of the stiffened tail as its body temperature drops and the last of its energy drains away. From Troodon's perspective, the world has narrowed to simple sensations. Ash clings to its tongue and palate, turning each shallow breath into the taste of cold dust and burned resin. The air carries a faint, distant smell of smoke, no longer a roaring wall of fire, but a thin, bitter trace from forests still burning beyond the horizon. Sound has almost vanished. The chorus of insects, the calls of other dinosaurs, the rush of rivers that once played an important role in its hunting grounds are gone. Only one sound breaks the quiet. Every so often, a soft thud marks another clump of ash, sliding from the dead branches above and landing near its snout. The impact sends up a tiny puff that settles over its teeth and nostrils, further muffling the outside world. For a hunter whose life depended on sharp senses, this fading of sight, smell, and hearing is as final as any bite. There is no last charge, no desperate attack on a rival predator. No Tyrannosaurus bursts from the haze. No larger theropod delivers a killing blow. Instead, the end comes from within, as the body simply fails. Starvation has emptied its belly, cold has slowed its blood, and untreated injuries have turned every movement into a cost it can no longer pay. In an environment stripped of prey, shelter, and warmth, even one of the most adaptable small hunters cannot endure. Scientists have evidence showing that scenes like this were repeated across the globe in the days and weeks after impact. On distant floodplains, hadrosaurs collapsed mid-journey, their strong legs finally buckling as withered plants offered no food. Ceratopsians fell beside dry waterholes, their famous horns and frills useless against hunger and freezing ash. Other small theropods curled into hollows and burrows, hearts slowing, breaths stretching farther apart, until they too went still. Troodon's final exhale is not recorded in any fossil. Its bones, light and delicate, will sag into the ash, perhaps scattered by later scavengers that also will not survive this new age. Most likely, its body becomes just another layer in the gray blanket that covers the land, never preserved, never found. Its individual story is erased, leaving only the broader record in rocks and rare fossils that show how, many millions of years ago, an impact ended its entire kind. Yet in that quiet erasure lies the bridge to what comes next. The survivors that did endure, and the clues they carry about how life pulled itself back from the edge. Troodon's story ends in silence, but the world it died in did not disappear. It hardened. Layer by layer, the chaos of those 3 days was pressed into stone. For millions of years, most dead animals have vanished without a trace. Scavengers tear flesh away. Insects and microbes break down muscle and skin, and weather scatters the remaining bones. Only in rare moments does the environment change fast enough to stop this process. When a body is buried quickly under mud in a river channel, or covered by fine ash in a lake or coastal lagoon, the decay slows. Minerals seep into the bones, replacing fragile tissue with rock. In time, the skeleton becomes one of the most durable records a planet can keep, a fossil locked inside hardened sediment. Troodon did not receive such a burial. Its light bones lay exposed on a blasted floodplain, burned, weathered, and finally broken apart. No sediment rushed in to cover it. No gentle lake mud sealed it away. Like almost every dinosaur that ever lived, its body left no direct trace. Yet the extinction that erased it did leave a mark, and that mark is global. Across the world, from North America to Europe, and from India to New Zealand, rock columns preserve a razor-thin boundary that records the impact. This KPG boundary is often only a few centimeters thick, but it is packed with clues. It is enriched in iridium, a rare metal on Earth, but common in asteroids, along with shocked minerals whose crystal structures were deformed by powerful pressure waves. Mixed through it are grains of glassy impact droplets and soot, the burned remains of forests set on fire when ejecta turned the sky into a broiler. Scientists have collected this layer from many continents, finding consistent evidence showing that it formed when debris from a single impact settled out of the darkened atmosphere. Paleontologists use this boundary as a time marker. When dinosaur bones are found just below it, those fossils belong to the last non-avian dinosaurs living in the final moments of the Cretaceous. Above it, in the early Paleogene, appear the survivors: mammals, crocodilians, turtles, and the only dinosaurs that endured long-term, the early birds. What is striking is not only what is present, but what is missing. Despite decades of searching, scientists have not found convincing non-avian dinosaur bones above this line. Could a few individuals have staggered on for days or weeks after the impact, as Troodon did in this reconstruction? Yes, but the rocks show that entire populations did not persist. This is the framework that holds Troodon's final days together. Physics and climate models reveal how heat, shock, and darkness spread from the impact. Fossil sites record local catastrophes: buried fish in ash-choked rivers, charred wood, and mixed bone beds. Comparative anatomy shows what Troodon's senses, teeth, and limbs could do under that stress. From ash to rock, from rock to evidence, an invisible death becomes a visible boundary, and a story that points toward the strange new world that followed. From that boundary of ash and shattered rock, another story emerges. One not of endings, but of survival. While Troodon and the other land-dwelling hunters faced darkness and fire, a different kind of dinosaur was already prepared for a harsher world. These were the avian dinosaurs, the first true birds. Scientists have long known that birds are not just distant relatives of dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs, descended from small feathered theropods that lived many millions of years ago. In life, some of these ancestors might have looked a little like Troodon in miniature, lightweight, alert, and covered in feathers. But their bodies followed a different plan. Shortened tails, fused bones in the wings, and keeled breastbones for flight muscles created a new kind of predator and plant eater, one that could leave the ground behind. In the hours and days after the impact, those differences played an important role. Early birds were generally small, with bodies that demanded less food than the large, strong carnivores around them. Many could fly or at least glide, escaping burning forests, crossing rivers choked with dead fish, and reaching scattered pockets of vegetation that larger dinosaurs could never find. Their air-filled bones and advanced lungs formed one of the most efficient respiratory systems in the animal kingdom, pushing air through in a continuous flow that supported both powerful bursts of activity and flexible control of energy use. Beaks gave them another advantage. While Troodon's sharp teeth were built for slicing flesh, many early birds had sturdy, seed-cracking beaks. When leaves and soft fruits vanished as plants withered in the impact winter, buried seeds, nuts, and hard-shelled plant parts remained. Hidden in soil, protected in cones, or sealed inside tough coverings, these packets of energy outlasted the first wave of destruction. Any animal able to dig them up, crack them open, and digest them had access to concentrated food when almost everything green was gone. Fossils from the end of the Cretaceous preserve tiny bird jaws and beaks with wear patterns that match this diet, providing evidence showing that seed-eating birds were present before and after the extinction. In the ruined landscape, small flocks could be imagined flitting between the last surviving shrubs, landing briefly on blackened branches to hammer open seeds, then launching again to avoid predators in pockets of deadly heat. They could glean insects from carcasses, snatch surviving invertebrates from under stones, and travel far to reach the few wetlands or forest patches that still held life. Could Troodon do the same? It could not. Groundbound, larger, and tied to big prey, Troodon and its non-avian kin were trapped in a collapsing food web. Birds, in contrast, slipped through the cracks of the disaster. From those fragile survivors, lineages spread into new environments as the planet slowly recovered. Over millions of years, they diversified into shorebirds, songbirds, raptors, and more, the living legacy of the dinosaur world. But if birds carried that legacy forward, what happened to the last non-avian hunters as the third day of darkness began? On the third day of darkness, the meaning of danger changes. The last great hunters have fallen silent, but the world is still being reshaped by dinosaurs with far less obvious weapons. In this shattered landscape, the most dangerous animals are not the ones that can tear flesh in seconds, but the ones that can quietly outlast the catastrophe and fill the empty spaces that follow. In the immediate aftermath of the impact, killing power counts for very little. A Tyrannosaurus with powerful jaws and deep crushing teeth cannot bite ash and cannot chase prey that no longer exists. Instead, the true measure of danger becomes resilience. The animals that can endure hunger, cold, and darkness and still reproduce will decide what kinds of forests return, what insects dominate, and which lineages rule the next millions of years. Among the survivors, small ground-dwelling birds step into a role that is easy to overlook but impossible to escape. Feeding on fallen seeds, hardy fruits, insects, and even rotting material, they move constantly through the broken environment. With every step, they swallow and later drop seeds, sometimes many kilometers from the dying parent plants. Scientists have found evidence showing that early Paleogene plant communities recovered unevenly, with some groups spreading faster than others. Seed-eating birds likely played an important role in this pattern, turning their daily search for food into a continent-wide replanting project. At the same time, these avian dinosaurs attack a different kind of prey. Insects that thrive in dead wood, decaying bodies, and ash-rich soils explode in number after the fires. Light-bodied birds with narrow beaks probe bark, dig in the loose ground, and snap up beetles, larvae, and other invertebrates. By eating countless insects, They help control outbreaks that might otherwise strip the few remaining leaves or overwhelm fragile new shoots. Their danger is subtle. By deciding which insects are held in check, they shape which plants survive the onslaught. This stands in sharp contrast to the great theropods that dominated many millions of years ago. Those predators carried massive skulls, long jaws, and sickle-shaped claws that could open deep wounds and break strong bones in a single strike. The surviving birds have small beaks, modest claws, and light skeletons, yet in this new world, such tools are enough. Their influence is not measured in single hunts, but in generations of quiet feeding that redirect the entire environment. Even here, survival is not equal. Fossils and comparative studies suggest that larger birds and those with highly specialized diets vanish more often than they endure. Lineages that depended on particular fruits, large prey, or stable forests lose their food sources and disappear. In contrast, small, generalist, ground-living forms that can eat seeds, insects, and detritus persist through the worst conditions, then expand as the world recovers. So if the title of most dangerous dinosaur is redefined as the one whose descendants most profoundly shape future life, it no longer belongs to Tyrannosaurus or Troodon. It belongs to the humble seed-eating birds that outlasted them, and through quiet, persistent activity, engineered the early Paleogene world. But as these small survivors spread, another question rises from the darkness. What new predators will evolve from this delicate foundation of feathers and seeds? For millions of years, giant dinosaurs filled every landscape on Earth, from deep forests to wide coastal plains. Some were peaceful plant eaters, but others were powerful hunters with sharp teeth and strong jaws. In the final days after the impact, however, the difference between hunter and hunted began to fade. Survival depended less on strength and more on chance and flexibility. Beyond Troodon, other contenders for the title of last non-avian dinosaur stepped briefly into this fading world. Small herbivores, including juvenile hadrosaurs and hypsilophodont-like forms, may have been among the last to fall. Their bodies were light, their food needs lower than those of adults, and their small size allowed them to hide in hollows, riverbanks, or dense undergrowth. In a burning, collapsing environment, being small was one of the most valuable advantages a dinosaur could have. Yet these plant eaters faced a brutal problem. Fires raced across the land, scorching leaves, grasses, and low shrubs. Ash choked river valleys. Even if a juvenile hadrosaur survived the heat pulse and initial firestorms, its food base vanished within hours to days. Scientists have found evidence showing that many plant communities near the end of the Cretaceous were already stressed. The impact pushed them past the breaking point. With photosynthesis shut down under a darkened sky, these small herbivores could only nibble at withered stems and buried roots for so long. Starvation would come quickly. Armored dinosaurs like ankylosaurs might seem like strong candidates at first glance. Their heavy plates and tail clubs had played an important role in defense against predators many millions of years ago. But that armor was useless against global firestorms and freezing darkness. Ankylosaurs were low-slung, slow, and closely tied to particular types of vegetation. They could not outrun advancing walls of flame or migrate rapidly to new feeding grounds. Even if some individuals sheltered in river channels or damp hollows, the long-term collapse of plants left these giants trapped in heavy armor with nothing to eat. Other small theropods also enter the picture. Oviraptorosaurs, small abelisaurids, and similar predators or omnivores may have been among the most adaptable dinosaurs in those first 72 hours. Many had light skeletons, sharp teeth or beaks, and strong legs. Some probably raided nests, scavenged carcasses, and took insects, lizards, or anything still moving. In a world of scattered corpses and dying forests, such flexibility briefly mattered. Could a nimble oviraptorosaur, feeding on eggs, burned vegetation, and dead fish along a shrinking river, outlast Troodon by days or even weeks? Scientists have considered this possibility, but the larger pattern remains unforgiving. As the sky stayed dark and temperatures fell, carcasses were consumed or rotted away. Insects declined, fresh water sources filled with ash and toxic chemicals. Every group faced the same wall: no sunlight, failing plants, and a broken food chain. Some small herbivores might have clung to life slightly longer than Troodon on buried roots. Certain omnivorous theropods might have scavenged the last bodies. But all paths converged on the same dead end. In truth, the last non-avian dinosaur was almost certainly not a single heroic survivor. It was a scattered set of small, adaptable theropods and herbivores on different continents, each holding on in isolated pockets as long as local resources allowed. Their final days played out in silence, leaving no living descendants, only fossils buried beneath the debris of a ruined world. The true legacy of dinosaurs would pass instead to their avian relatives and to the new predators that would rise in the Paleogene shadows that followed. The asteroid's first strike ended the age of giants in fire and shock, but the world that followed finished the work in a slower, even more merciless way. The real killer of the last dinosaurs was not the impact itself, but the long, dark winter it unleashed on the entire planet. When the Chicxulub asteroid slammed into the Yucatan, it blasted fine dust, pulverized rock, and sulfur-rich minerals high into the atmosphere. This material did not fall back quickly. Instead, tiny particles spread through the stratosphere, forming a global veil that wrapped the Earth. Scientists have evidence showing that these dust grains and sulfur aerosols reflected much of the sun's light back into space, cutting off a powerful energy source that had warmed the surface for many millions of years. The result was an impact winter unlike anything dinosaurs had ever faced. Daylight dimmed to a permanent twilight in many regions, and in some places, true darkness lasted for weeks. Surface temperatures dropped sharply as less sunlight reached land and oceans. Seasonal patterns that had guided migration, breeding, and plant growth were thrown into chaos. In this shadowed world, photosynthesis nearly stopped. Plants withered, forests failed to regenerate, and plankton in the upper ocean, the base of marine food chains, collapsed. This breakdown of primary productivity played an important role in finishing the extinction that the initial blast had begun. Herbivorous dinosaurs lost their food first, as leaves, seeds, and soft shoots disappeared. Carnivores that depended on those plant eaters soon followed, even if they had survived the fires and shockwaves. In the oceans, the same pattern unfolded as microscopic producers died off, and the entire food web above them began to starve. At the same time, the very chemicals that darkened the sky created another threat. Sulfur compounds from the vaporized rocks combined with moisture in the atmosphere and fell back as acid rain. This rain burned delicate plant tissues, stripped nutrients from soils, and poisoned freshwater lakes and rivers. There is evidence showing that many surviving forests were further weakened by this chemical assault, while amphibians and freshwater animals faced acidified habitats that turned former refugees into lethal traps. In such an environment, large, warm-blooded animals with high food demands were at a severe disadvantage. Most non-avian dinosaurs needed constant energy to power strong muscles, active brains, and heavy bodies filled with dense bones and powerful jaws. When prey became scarce and plants vanished, these giants had no reserves. Smaller animals that could burrow, hibernate, or tolerate cold conditions, such as early mammals and some avian dinosaurs, were better suited to wait out the worst years of darkness and cold. For a survivor like Troodon, the impact winter turned short-term survival into a slow defeat. Its sharp eyes and strong senses might have helped it hunt in the first weeks, picking over carcasses left by the fires. But as the months passed, each hunting ground grew emptier, each nesting site colder and more exposed. Even if one last Troodon found shelter in a sheltered valley or along a fading river, the spreading darkness and acid rain would steadily erase every remaining refuge. How long could such a predator endure in a world where the very sky had turned against it? And what final choice would decide its fate? As Troodon's world dimmed and burned, another realm was also falling silent. Far from the choking forests and empty nesting grounds, the oceans of the late Cretaceous held their own apex hunters, and their story mirrors Troodon's fate in a different, darker medium. For millions of years, giant marine reptiles ruled these seas. Mosasaurs, with long muscular bodies and powerful tails, moved like living torpedoes through warm coastal waters. Plesiosaurs, with broad bodies and paddle-like limbs, flew underwater with strong, sweeping strokes. Their jaws were lined with sharp teeth, perfect for seizing fish, ammonites, and even other marine reptiles. In their environment, they were one of the most dangerous forms of life on the planet. Then the asteroid struck. The same impact that sent shockwaves through Troodon's forests also slammed energy into the oceans, raising walls of water that raced across entire basins. Tsunamis tore along ancient shorelines, overturning reefs and dragging animals far from their hunting grounds. But the greatest danger did not come from a single wave. It came from what followed in the sky. Dust, ash, and sulfur from the impact clouded the atmosphere, cutting off sunlight that had played an important role in feeding the base of the marine food web. Tiny plankton, floating near the surface, depended on light. With the days turned to twilight, plankton populations crashed. Scientists have evidence showing that this sudden decline spread quickly through the oceans, undermining the entire system from the bottom up. Fish that had once been abundant began to starve. Shellfish and other small creatures that filtered the water lost their food source. For a short time, large predators like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs could survive on stored energy and whatever prey remained, just as Troodon could still stalk the last weakened animals on land. But how long can a giant hunter endure when each dive brings back less and less? Fossils from marine rocks that cross the KPG boundary reveal a sharp pattern. Above certain layers, the bones and teeth of many marine reptile groups vanish. Scientists have found that mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and several other dominant lineages disappear almost at once in geological terms, in the same thin band of rock that marks the end of non-avian dinosaurs on land. This is powerful evidence that the extinction was truly global. Here, the pattern interrupts any idea of a local disaster. Troodon's 3-day struggle was not an isolated tragedy in a single darkened forest. It was part of a planet-wide collapse of apex predators on land and in sea, all brought down not by rival hunters, but by the quiet failure of the systems that had sustained them for many millions of years. If even the lords of the oceans could not escape the dying light, what chance did any last dinosaur truly have when the hunger finally reached every corner of Earth? For many millions of years, giant dinosaurs shaped their worlds as both hunters and hunted. But in the shadow of the asteroid, a new question appears. What does it really mean to be dangerous when the entire environment turns against life itself? In normal conditions, Tyrannosaurus rex stands as one of the most terrifying land predators ever discovered. Its skull was massive and deep, packed with thick banana-shaped teeth, designed not just to cut flesh, but to crush bones. Scientists have found fossils of horned and armored plant eaters with healed bite marks that match T-Rex jaws, evidence showing that this predator attacked large, well-armed prey again and again. With a bite force strong enough to splinter bone, huge muscles in the neck, and powerful legs that could drive it forward in sudden bursts, it dominated any open killing ground it entered. Troodon, by contrast, carried a different kind of danger into the late Cretaceous night. It was light and fast, with long legs, grasping hands, and a sickle-shaped claw on each foot. Its eyes were large, facing forward, and its brain was proportionally one of the most developed among non-avian dinosaurs. Fossils of its finely serrated teeth suggest a varied diet, but its keen senses, strong night vision, and quick reactions made it a precise hunter of smaller animals in dense forests and along riverbanks. In a complex living ecosystem, intelligence and agility could be as deadly as raw strength. Other predators added their own weapons to this ancient arms race. Dromaeosaurs, such as Deinonychus and Utahraptor, used enlarged toe claws and possible pack behavior to overwhelm prey much larger than a single animal. Giant spinosaurs, with long, narrow skulls and conical teeth, stalked river systems and coastal lagoons. Their dense bones and powerful tails adapted for semi-aquatic hunting. Abelisaurids like Carnotaurus had deep, short skulls, strong necks, and muscular bodies built for repeated high-impact bites. Each lineage played an important role in its own region, filling different hunting niches across the continents. Under such stable conditions, danger can be measured. Scientists compare prey size, hunting success, and the mechanical power of jaws, claws, and muscles. Which predator killed the largest victims? Which left the most dramatic damage on bones? Which had the strongest bite, the sharpest teeth, or the most advanced senses? In this framework, it is possible to rank killers and debate which dinosaur ruled as the ultimate apex hunter. But during an extinction event, those rules collapse. When firestorms race across continents, when shockwaves shatter forests, and when darkness falls for weeks, the environment itself becomes the top predator. A bone-crushing bite does not stop falling ejecta. Night vision does not pierce a sky filled with ash. The most dangerous hunter becomes just another body exposed to heat, starvation, and toxic rain. The deeper lesson is sobering. Power, intelligence, and weapons decided who lived or died in daily hunts, but they could not shield even the strongest dinosaurs when the world's basic systems failed almost overnight. In the end, the question shifts from which predator was most dangerous to others, to how fragile all of them were when the ground beneath their feet, the air above their heads, and the food around them changed faster than evolution could follow. That fragility becomes even clearer when Troodon is viewed beside living animals. Its world ended many millions of years ago, but its advantages did not simply vanish. They echo in feathers, fur, and sharp eyes that still watch in the dark. Troodon's large brain and keen senses make it one of the most striking parallels to modern corvids and parrots. Scientists have studied crows that bend wires into hooks, ravens that plan for future rewards, and parrots that solve multi-step puzzles to reach food. These birds remember social relationships, recognize individuals, and even cooperate to outsmart larger predators. Evidence showing that Troodon had an enlarged brain relative to its body suggests a similar capacity for flexible problem solving. In a late Cretaceous forest, that kind of intelligence could have played an important role in finding hidden prey, avoiding larger hunters, and exploiting new food sources after sudden changes in the environment. Its hunting style also has a clear modern echo. Troodon's large forward-facing eyes and probable nocturnal habits resemble the silent hunters of the night skies today. Owls. Modern owls have oversized eyes packed with light-sensitive cells, soft-edged feathers that muffle wing beats, and asymmetrical ear openings that allow them to pinpoint the faint rustle of a mouse under leaves. Troodon, with strong legs, grasping hands, and sharp teeth, likely filled a similar niche, stalking small animals in low light while larger dinosaurs slept. The same combination of darkness, patience, and precision still rules many nighttime ecosystems. On the ground, Troodon's role can be compared to small predatory mammals such as foxes or weasels. Foxes move quietly along forest edges, taking rodents, birds, eggs, and carrion when the opportunity appears. Weasels slip into burrows, using speed and agility to overwhelm prey much smaller than themselves, but they will also scavenge when conditions demand it. Troodon's size, teeth, and limb proportions suggest a mid-level hunter that chased ambushed, and scavenged in much the same way, constantly testing the environment for any opening. In a landscape filled with giants, it survived by being quick, adaptable, and willing to eat almost anything it could overpower. But here is the unsettling pattern interrupt. Even these modern masters of adaptation would face the same wall Troodon hit. How would a crow's intelligence help against a sky turned into a furnace? How long could an owl hunt if ash and dust turned day to permanent twilight? Foxes and weasels are powerful in their own habitats, yet they too depend on stable food chains, breathable air, and predictable seasons. These comparisons pull Troodon out of distant prehistory and place it beside familiar animals. Its extinction stops feeling like an abstract event buried in fossils and starts to resemble a warning. Complex predators, no matter how sharp their senses or strong their teeth, remain deeply tied to the balance of their environment, and that balance can fail with terrifying speed. Troodon's story becomes even more unsettling when the scene is shifted from many millions of years ago to an imagined present. The same kind of asteroid that carved the Chicxulub crater could still fall from the sky, striking with the force of billions of tons of explosives and turning a normal day into the first minutes of planetary disaster. In the first instant, there would be a blinding flash on the horizon, brighter than anything the human eye has ever seen. Shockwaves would race around the globe, shattering buildings the way ancient pressure fronts once shattered rock and bone. Superheated ejecta would roar back through the atmosphere, turning the sky into a powerful broiler and igniting forests, grasslands, and cities in global firestorms. Within hours, smoke and dust would rise into the upper atmosphere, and an impact winter would begin to form over a planet still wrapped in flame. As days passed, sunlight would fade to a dim twilight, even at noon. Temperatures would plunge, acid rain would fall through the ash, poisoning lakes and soils. Agriculture would fail as crops withered in the darkness. Ocean food chains would falter as plankton died, and the climate that supported modern life would swing violently away from familiar patterns. In such an environment, what kind of creature would play the role Troodon once held in those first lethal days? Small, intelligent predators would have the first advantage. Foxes slipping through ruined suburbs, raccoons raiding shattered buildings, corvids watching from blackened branches, and hawks or other raptors striking at fleeing animals could mirror Troodon's early edge. Disoriented prey, burned and confused, would provide easy targets. These hunters would scavenge bodies near rivers, landfills, and streets, using sharp senses and flexible behavior to seize every brief opening before conditions worsened. Scientists have discussed which traits would matter most in such a crisis, and the list does not favor the largest or the strongest. Generalist diets that include plants, insects, and carrion would matter more than specialized hunting. The ability to shelter underground in burrows or to retreat into ponds, rivers, and wetlands would echo the survival strategies that played an important role after Chicxulub. Low energy needs and rapid reproduction would give rodents, insects, and many small birds a better chance than lions, tigers, or orcas with high demands and rigid hunting patterns. Humans would enter this scenario as one of the most technologically advanced species the planet has ever seen, but also one of the most dependent on fragile systems. Power grids, shipping networks, and industrial agriculture would all be vulnerable to fire, darkness, and climate shock. There is evidence showing that human intelligence and cooperation can adapt to extreme environments. Yet this intelligence is tightly linked to infrastructure that could fail in hours. In that sense, the comparison with Troodon becomes uncomfortable. A small rodent in a deep burrow might be safer than a city filled with advanced machines. This thought experiment returns to the core message behind Troodon's brief survival. In a world suddenly turned hostile, the traits that dominate in normal times, size, speed, strong jaws, and sharp teeth, may matter less than flexibility, frugality, and the ability to vanish into shelter. The last effective hunters in the first 3 days would not be the largest or the most dramatic. They would be the ones almost invisible in the background today, waiting in the dark, ready to inherit a broken world. But what happened after those first days, when even the clever survivors faced a planet that stayed dark for years? In the years that followed those first 3 impossible days, the world did not simply heal, it reset. The thick dust and sulfur in the air kept sunlight weak, turning forests into ghostly outlines and leaving the ground cold and dim. Plants struggled. Many lush Cretaceous forests collapsed into low, patchy growth, with tough shrubs, hardy ferns, and scattered seed-bearing plants clinging to damaged soil. Ecosystems that had once held herds of giant dinosaurs were reduced to thin, quiet communities. In this stripped-down environment, survival favored the small and the flexible. Creatures that could live on seeds, buried roots, insects, and rotting material had the advantage. Scientists have evidence showing that many early Paleogene landscapes were dominated by generalists. Small mammals with simple teeth, ground-dwelling birds that scratched for food, and reptiles hiding in warm, sheltered corners. Food chains were shorter, weaker, and easier to break, but also easier for tough, adaptable survivors to enter. Mammals were among the first to truly thrive. For millions of years during the age of dinosaurs, most mammals had been tiny, secretive animals, living in the shadows and feeding at night. With the great reptilian hunters gone, those same bodies and behaviors suddenly became strengths. Over millions of years, their teeth and bones changed as some lineages grew larger, shifted to grazing on the new fleshes of flowering plants, or developed strong jaws for cracking seeds and hunting other small animals. Others became swift predators, filling roles once held by smaller theropod dinosaurs. Birds, the surviving branch of the dinosaur family tree, also began to radiate into new forms. Some lineages stayed small and light, feeding on insects in the recovering forests. Others became strong-legged runners on the ground, chasing prey across open areas left by the fires. By eating fruit and passing seeds through their digestive systems, they played an important role in spreading plants back into burned and ash-covered regions. Insects were kept in check, seeds were carried to new ground, and slowly the ecological web began to reconnect. Reptiles did not disappear either. Crocodilians protected in rivers, lakes, and coastal wetlands that buffered extreme temperature swings survived the impact and the long darkness. Their powerful bodies and generalist diets helped them endure lean times. Lizards and snakes persisted in burrows, leaf litter, and rock crevices, using warm refuges to escape the cold surface environment. Fossils show that many of these groups expanded in diversity as the Paleogene progressed, taking advantage of open space and reduced competition. Set against this slow, steady rise, the fall of Troodon and its kin seems brutally fast. The last non-avian dinosaurs vanished within a geological heartbeat, but the opportunities created by their absence unfolded over millions of years. Extinction, in this case, acted like a locked door suddenly flung open. The clever hunters that survived those first 3 days did not see the mammals, birds, and reptiles that would eventually walk through it, but their disappearance made that future possible. What did that new world look like once it was fully rebuilt? That rebuilt world did not appear overnight. It was carved out by a sequence of killers that swept across the planet in a grim procession. For a few terrible days and months, Earth became one of the most hostile environments it had seen in many millions of years. The first killer struck in seconds. The Chicxulub impact unleashed a blast and shockwaves that flattened forests, boiled shallow seas, and shattered rock across continents. Near the crater, large herbivores and predators alike were simply erased, their powerful bodies torn apart before any struggle could begin. Farther away, the ground heaved as earthquakes far beyond human experience raced outward, toppling anything that still stood. Then the sky itself turned deadly. Ejecta thrown high into the atmosphere rained back down as superheated debris. Scientists have found evidence showing that this returning material heated the air until it glowed, igniting global firestorms. Plants, dry leaf litter, and even moist forests burst into flame. Herds of hadrosaurs and ceratopsians that had survived the initial shock fled through walls of fire. Lungs seared, skin blistered, many collapsing in rivers that were suddenly choked with ash and floating carcasses. Darkness followed the light. Dust, soot, and sulfur aerosols spread around the globe, blocking the sun and plunging the surface into a long twilight. Temperatures dropped. Acid rain fell as chemicals from the impact mixed with the atmosphere, burning leaves, poisoning shallow lakes, and damaging the delicate tissues of gills and eyes. On land and in the oceans, the base of the food web was quietly cut away. For large herbivores, size had once been protection. Strong legs, deep chests, and massive digestive systems allowed them to process huge amounts of plant material. After the impact, that same size became a deadly burden. As plants withered and new growth failed under the dim sky, these giants needed more food than the damaged environment could possibly provide. Some died in the fires and floods, but many more simply starved, their huge skeletons later preserved as fossils lying above thin, dark layers of impact debris. Apex predators such as Tyrannosaurus rex faced a similar trap. These hunters relied on large, abundant prey and carried high energy demands in their powerful muscles and heavy skulls. Scientists have uncovered bone beds showing dense concentrations of herbivores just below the impact layer, but very few above it, indicating that prey populations crashed rapidly. T-Rex that escaped the initial blast soon found their hunting grounds empty. Their specialized killing bites and strong teeth were useless when there was almost nothing left to chase. Troodon, with its sharp senses and active bird-like metabolism, was caught in the same tightening net. It could stalk through smoke and navigate in low light, but it still depended on frequent meals of small animals. It lacked deep burrows, heavy armor, or a fully flexible diet that could switch to roots and seeds. Exposed to the fires, then to the cold and hunger that followed, even this clever hunter had few options. In the end, no single blow finished the non-avian dinosaurs. It was the timing and combination of blast, fire, darkness, acid rain, and starvation, each one playing an important role in stacking upon the last, that closed every path forward. Only the smallest, most adaptable survivors, including early birds, found narrow refuges. How did those avian dinosaurs turn those narrow escapes into a lasting victory? For Troodon, those narrow escapes were only a delay. In the first hours after impact, this small, intelligent predator did what it had always done. It moved, it watched, it hunted. While giant dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus collapsed in the open under a sky of falling fire, Troodon slipped through shadows, using sharp senses and a flexible brain to survive the blast, the shockwaves, and the first terrible heat. During the second act of this 3-day story, the world changed faster than any environment many millions of years before. Ash and dust thickened the air until noon became twilight. Troodon's large forward-facing eyes, one of the most advanced visual systems among small theropods, turned that darkness into a temporary advantage. It stalked among burned trunks, picked over fresh carcasses, and used its strong grasping hands and curved teeth to tear at still warm meat. For a brief time, its design matched the disaster, but the disaster kept unfolding. Scientists have computer models and geologic evidence showing that temperatures crashed after the heat pulse, as sunlight was blocked by fine particles and sulfur aerosols. The fires that had lit the horizon gave way to freezing winds and acid rain. Troodon's world shrank from a complex forest filled with calls and movement to a silent graveyard of bodies, smoke, and falling ash. Each step took it past more corpses and fewer survivors. By the third day, hunger and cold pressed in together. The small mammals and birds that had once been prey vanished into burrows or dense cover. Scavenged meat began to rot or freeze. Troodon's fast metabolism, which had powered its speed and quick reactions, now demanded energy that the dead landscape could no longer provide. Its powerful legs still carried it forward, but every movement cost more than it could earn back. In those final hours, this hunter of the late Cretaceous faced a different kind of danger. Not a charging herbivore, not another predator, but a slow tightening of every basic need. Oxygen was harder to breathe in the choking dust. Water burned the throat. Food was gone. In whatever limited way its brain could register such change, the pattern was clear. The rules that had shaped its life were broken. This is not just tragedy imagined for effect. Each scene in Troodon's journey is built from impact physics, climate simulations, and fossils that record fires, floods, and mass death at the KPG boundary. Charcoal-rich layers show global wildfires. Shocked quartz and iridium mark the blast itself. Bone beds filled with mixed species record sudden, widespread mortality. Together, this evidence shows that extinction arrived as a sequence of inescapable pressures, not a single instant. Troodon's end also reflects modern concerns. Rapid environmental change, collapsing food chains, and the vulnerability of specialized predators are not only problems from the age of dinosaurs. Large carnivores today, from big cats to marine hunters, depend on stable prey networks and predictable climates. When those supports fail, even the most capable hunters can vanish quickly. In this sense, Troodon's 3-day struggle becomes a deep-time mirror. It shows how strength, intelligence, and sharp teeth can be overwhelmed when the entire system fails. It also sets the stage for a broader comparison. How did other dangerous dinosaurs face this crisis? And why did only the small avian survivors turn disaster into opportunity? The next section will place Troodon's fall beside the fate of giants and the quiet rise of the birds that inherited their world. In the fading light of the impact winter, the question becomes unavoidable. Which dinosaurs were truly the most dangerous? For millions of years, giant predators and small silent hunters shaped their environments in different ways. Some threatened massive herds in broad daylight, while others turned the Cretaceous night into a hunting ground filled with unseen danger. Tyrannosaurus rex still stands as one of the most fearsome contenders for the title of ultimate predator. Its skull was built like a living weapon, with many strong bones locked together to withstand enormous forces. Thick, banana-shaped teeth drove deep into flesh and even into solid bone. Scientists have found fossils of horned and duck-billed dinosaurs with bite marks that matched T-Rex, and there is evidence showing that some of these bones healed. This indicates active attacks on large, well-defended prey, not just scavenging. The physical power of T-Rex was matched by advanced senses. Forward-facing eyes gave it good depth perception, while enlarged areas of the brain suggest strong vision and smell. In a stable, late Cretaceous ecosystem, this combination of size, bite force, and sensory ability made Tyrannosaurus one of the most dangerous animals to any large herbivore that crossed its path. To a Triceratops or Edmontosaurus, danger had a very specific shape. Troodon, however, represents a different kind of threat. It did not crush adult ceratopsians or sauropods, but it hunted smaller animals with speed, agility, and unusual intelligence. Its large eyes and possible tapetum-like structures suggest excellent night vision. Its brain, relative to body size, was among the largest of any known dinosaur. In the darkness after Chicxulub, a predator like Troodon could still locate hiding mammals, lizards, or small birds when other hunters were effectively blind. In that brief window, it was one of the most dangerous dinosaurs of the night. Around them, other lethal specialists also played an important role. Dromaeosaurs such as Deinonychus and Utahraptor used stiff tails, grasping hands, and sickle-shaped claws to attack in coordinated groups, turning medium-sized prey into easy targets. Spinosaurs, with long crocodile-like skulls and dense bones, were adapted to hunt in rivers and coastal waters, as well as on land, making them dominant where land met water. In the southern continents, large abelisaurids, with deep skulls and strong neck muscles, controlled their own ecosystems as top predators. This diversity shows that there was no single, universal, most dangerous dinosaur. Instead, there were many titles. T-Rex was the most dangerous to giant plant eaters. Troodon may have been the most dangerous in the darkness. Spinosaurids ruled as the most dangerous hunters in water. And in terms of long-term impact, small seed-eating birds, the avian dinosaurs that survived, were the most dangerous to the future shape of life itself, carrying dinosaur genes into the New Age. Ultimately, danger was context-dependent. In the stable world before the asteroid, each predator reigned supreme inside its own niche. In the 3 days after Chicxulub, their powerful teeth, strong legs, and sharp senses still worked, but only briefly. Forces from beyond the atmosphere broke the rules of their ancient game. The next step is to see how those surviving birds turned that broken world into an opportunity. In that shattered landscape, the most dangerous hunters did not stand tall. They perched low, close to the ground, wrapped in feathers and hunger. From these small ground-dwelling birds that endured the impact in the long darkness, an entirely new chapter of dinosaur history began. These survivors were not impressive in size. Many were no bigger than modern jungle fowl, with modest beaks, light bones, and strong legs built for scratching through ash and debris. Scientists have evidence showing that species able to eat seeds, insects, and almost anything they could find had the best chance. Over millions of years, that flexible design exploded into diversity. The tiny hovering hummingbird, the soaring eagle with powerful talons, the flightless penguin cutting through icy water, and the bright parrot with a crushing beak are all branches of this same ancient line. As the fires died and the skies slowly cleared, the world needed help to heal. Forests had been burned, soils were bare, and the old plant communities were broken. Here, birds played an important role. By swallowing seeds and carrying them far from the parent plants, they turned their own movement into a living transport system. Each flight across a blackened valley could drop seeds into fresh ground, helping forests and grasslands return and reshaping the environment continent by continent. Some birds also became partners of flowering plants. In a few regions, long-billed species began to sip nectar, dusting their faces with pollen and carrying it between blooms. Others hunted insects in the air and on the ground, reducing swarms that might have overwhelmed fragile new leaves. In this way, flocks of small dinosaurs quietly guided which plants spread, which survived, and which faded into the fossil record. Yet even the most delicate bird still carries echoes of its terrible ancestors. Scales on the legs, built from the same kind of tissue as reptile skin, recall a time when feathers and scales covered the same predator. Their lungs, filled with air sacs that pass air in one direction, match the breathing systems reconstructed for non-avian theropods. Behaviors such as nest building, guarding eggs, and fierce territorial displays are not new inventions. Scientists have found fossils of brooding dinosaurs many millions of years old that show similar care. The pattern interrupt comes in an ordinary scene. A pigeon lifts from a city street. A hawk circles above a quiet field. A heron waits, motionless, in a roadside marsh. Each is a living descendant of the dinosaurs that survived the worst day and the worst 3 days in Earth's history. What appears common is, in truth, one of the most remarkable success stories life has produced. In this sense, the end of Troodon's line was not the end of dinosaur power. One dangerous branch vanished, but another, smaller branch carried the legacy forward, trading claws and massive teeth for wings, beaks, and patience. These avian dinosaurs did not just endure the catastrophe. Over time, they reshaped life on Earth in quieter yet profound ways. The next step is to examine how other survivors shared this transformed planet with them, and how new predators rose in the shadow of the old. For millions of years, giant dinosaurs ruled a living world of forests, rivers, and warm seas. But in a single violent moment, that balance was broken. The story of one small predator, Troodon, shows how those final days turned from survival into inevitability. This animal began as one of the most dangerous hunters of its size. It had large forward-facing eyes, sharp curved teeth, and a sickle-shaped claw on each foot. Its brain was proportionally large, and its senses were finely tuned to movement in low light. When the Chicxulub asteroid struck with the force of more than 1 billion nuclear bombs, Troodon's speed and awareness gave it a brief advantage. While massive dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus rex were crushed by shockwaves, falling debris, and collapsing forests, this smaller hunter could dart through the chaos. Scientists have evidence showing that the impact hurled molten rock and dust high above the atmosphere. As this ejecta rained back down, it heated the air until the sky itself became a deadly furnace. Global firestorms swept across continents, igniting forests and baking the surface. Troodon used every skill it had to weave between burning trunks, avoid falling branches, and scavenge the first bodies in this new landscape. For a few hours, its powerful legs, strong senses, and sharp weapons still mattered. But the environment was changing faster than any predator could adapt. Ash and fine dust spread around the planet, turning day into a dim twilight. Within a short time, temperatures began to fall. Acid rain formed from chemicals blasted out of the impact site, poisoned water, and stripped leaves from plants. The food chain that had supported great herds of plant-eating dinosaurs collapsed from the bottom up. Without healthy plants, herbivores weakened or died. Without herbivores, even the most fearsome hunters starved. In this broken world, Troodon hunted and scavenged for about 3 days. It picked over burned carcasses, followed fading scent trails, and listened for any sign of life in the smoky dark. Yet each day brought colder air, quieter forests, and fewer chances to feed. Its strong legs could still run, and its claws could still tear, but there was less and less to chase. Hunger and falling temperatures finally did what rival predators could not. The last hunt ended, not in a clash of teeth and bones, but in silence. Other dinosaurs met different fates, but all were tied to the same global disaster. Large apex predators, such as T-Rex, were either killed quickly by the initial blast, tsunamis, and earthquakes, or they starved soon after, as their giant bodies demanded more food than the dying world could provide. Smaller plant eaters and medium-sized theropods survived a little longer, moving through ash-filled valleys and burned floodplains, but the same lack of plants and prey caught up with them. Only avian dinosaurs, the early birds with lighter bodies, varied diets, and sometimes more flexible behaviors, managed to cross this environmental boundary. In normal times, danger in dinosaur ecosystems came from claws, jaws, and crushing bites. But during the extinction, the most dangerous force was the environment itself. The heat pulse, the darkness, the cold, and the slow unraveling of the food web. Which part of Troodon's struggle stands out most? The firestorms, the endless night, or the final hunger? Each stage reveals how fragile even the strongest creatures can be, and how survival depends not only on powerful bodies, but on being matched to a changing world. Each stage of Troodon's final struggle also opens a door to other endings that played out in those same terrible hours. Somewhere closer to the coast, imagine a wounded Tyrannosaurus rex standing on shaking ground. Its powerful legs braced as the air itself turns to fire, and the ocean pulls back before a towering wave. For a short time, its strong muscles and massive body might have looked like advantages. Then the sky began to fall. In another part of the world, a herd of ceratopsians could have been trapped between advancing fire fronts. Their horns, frills, and heavy bones were designed for powerful clashes with predators, not for outrunning walls of flame under a darkened noon. Scientists have found charcoal layers and soot in boundary rocks, evidence showing that forests burned on a global scale. In that kind of environment, even the best defended plant eaters would have faced a deadly choice: stand, flee, or plunge into choking rivers. Along those rivers, a Spinosaur might have slipped into water turned black with ash. This hunter, with long jaws and conical teeth, built to seize fish, was one of the most specialized predators of its time. But what happens when the fish vanish, blinded or suffocated as debris rains from the sky? For a few hours, its semi-aquatic lifestyle might have played an important role in avoiding the worst of the heat pulse. After that, hunger and poisoned water would begin to close in. Which dinosaur in those first hours and days had the best short-term chance? A massive T-Rex near the coast? A nervous ceratopsian in a burning forest? Or a Spinosaur feeling the river go silent beneath it? Which one deserves a full, minute-by-minute reconstruction in a future story, following every decision, every failed hunt, every last attempt to find shelter? Some might choose the largest hunters, others the smaller, faster forms that could hide among fallen trunks and ash. Scientists have long debated whether some non-avian dinosaurs survived longer than others in distant refuges. Could small, feathered hunters in polar forests, or island-dwelling herbivores far from the impact point, have held on for weeks or months? Traits such as body size, diet, and behavior would have mattered greatly. A flexible appetite, the ability to burrow or shelter, and a tolerance for darkness and cold might have extended those final timelines in ways still hidden in the fossils. The story of Troodon's 3 days also raises a more personal question. In a 72-hour global catastrophe, which instincts or tools would matter most for survival? Fire, shelter, stored food, or the ability to move silently through a collapsing environment? Troodon had sharp claws, strong legs, and senses tuned to the night. Yet even these were not enough once the food web failed. Comparing human strategies to these ancient adaptations reveals how fragile every survival plan truly is. This episode is part of an ongoing exploration of dangerous dinosaurs and the worlds that shaped them many millions of years ago. Each new chapter follows predators and prey through crises that push anatomy, behavior, and environment to the limit. Those who wish to follow every step of this deep time survival series can stay close as the next extinction, the next hunter, and the next last day comes into focus. Because somewhere in the rocks, another dinosaur's final hours are waiting to be uncovered, and the next story may change which species is remembered as the very last to fall. For millions of years, giant dinosaurs ruled changing worlds, from quiet river plains to violent shorelines shaken by fire from the sky. Some were peaceful plant eaters, but others were powerful hunters that filled those ancient landscapes with fear and constant struggle. This series follows the most dangerous dinosaurs that ever existed, not only by measuring teeth and claws, but by asking how they lived, hunted, and died inside environments that would be almost unrecognizable today. Each episode treats a different predator or survivor as a case study in deep time danger. Scientists have gathered evidence showing that behavior, growth, and even social lives can be read from fossils, from healed bite marks on strong bones to trackways that record a final sprint. In earlier chapters, giants like Tyrannosaurus rex, Spinosaurus, and Giganotosaurus dominated the story. In this chapter, a smaller hunter, Troodon, carried that story through the first 3 days after impact, across firestorms, falling ash, and a sky turned to burning metal. The journey does not end with Troodon's last heartbeat. Upcoming investigations will move beyond the impact crater and into the new world that followed. One episode will examine the first mammals that truly thrived once the large dinosaurs were gone, tiny, agile bodies slipping through the darkness of an impact winter. Another will return to the oceans to reconstruct one of the most dangerous marine reptiles before the asteroid, armed with long jaws and interlocking teeth built for tearing prey in churning coastal seas. A future chapter will rebuild the deadliest dinosaur pack hunters in history, asking how coordination, speed, and sharp senses turned a group of predators into a single, moving weapon. Those who have stayed through Troodon's entire 3-day struggle have already crossed falling forests, boiling rain, and the first hours of global night. That kind of patience and focus plays an important role in keeping this deep-time survival project alive. To help it reach others who follow natural disasters, high-stakes survival stories, or the most dangerous dinosaurs, engagement is essential. A simple like, a channel subscription, and a shared link sent to a friend interested in fossils or ancient predators can push the next investigation further into the past. There is also evidence showing that the direction of this series can be shaped directly from the comment section. Suggestions might call for the last stand of a Triceratops herd on a floodplain lit by fire, or the rise of giant terror birds many millions of years after the non-avian dinosaurs fell. Other comments may ask for a closer look at how birds, the surviving avian dinosaurs, endured the impact winter when almost every other large animal died. Which story should be uncovered next? Long before humans, long before mammals ruled the continents, there were dinosaurs like Troodon, fast, intelligent, and deadly, facing the worst day Earth has ever seen. The asteroid's strike ended their age, but it did not erase their stories. As long as scientists keep digging, as long as new fossils are pulled from rock and new technology reveals hidden details in ancient bones, those final hours are still being written. To follow the next extinction, the next hunter, and the next last day on Earth, subscribe and stay close to the impact line, because the most dangerous chapter may still be buried just below the surface.